I don't have a little thing. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you please do roll call?
Member Nee?
Here.
Nee present. Member Monet? Monet absent. Member Washburn?
Here.
Washburn present. Pilpel?
Present.
Pilpel present. Sims? Sims absent. David? David absent. Highland? Highland absent. Oka?
Present.
Oka present. Fisher?
Present.
Fisher present. And Chair Grant?
Present.
Present. The Chair, you have a quorum?
Great, thank you. The next thing I want to do is talk about some agenda changes. Member Sims, let me do the absence. Member Sims just said he's going to be late, and I have not heard from Member Highland. So I'd like to know if there's a motion to, Member David did send us an excused absent. He's ill. And Member Monet also sent us an email from work obligations that preclude her from being here today. So I'd like to see if anyone would like to propose a motion to excuse Member David and Member Monet.
I will so move to excuse members Monet and David.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Member Monet and Member David will be excused. Madam Clerk, I'm sorry. So the agenda changes for today. Let me go through some.
Madam Chair, do you want to take public comment on the
Is there any
motion?
public comment about these two excused absences? I'm a little bit short, so I can't see. So, okay. I believe it's passed without objection that we have excused these two members. So, yeah.
Madam Chair, although it's permissible to take a motion as passed without objection, that has to be announced. Otherwise, there's no action taken on the item. So the procedure would be: can we pass this without objection? If you hear no objection, then you can declare that it's passed.
Okay. In that case, can I pass this without objection? I hear no objection, so in that case, the motion has passed without objection. Great. So the items on today's agenda that I know of for changes, let's just go through this really quickly. Item number 2, file number 12013. I see both the complainant and the respondent here. File number 12031 has been a request for a special accommodation to hear this case via phone from the complainant side. I don't know if there is a representative from the Housing Authority here.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Okay, so item number 3, she's going to be on the phone. We will Madam Clerk will dial her in. Public comment is as stated. Item number 5, 12034, anonymous against Debbie Brubaker. Is the complainant Cliff here? I see it. Yes, and the film commissioner, who the original complaint was against, has resigned. But is her representative from the film commission here? Great, thank you. Item number 6. So we will hear that on this agenda. File number 12040 is once again anonymous, so this will be in a special accommodation by phone. So we will hear this case again via the complainant via phone. Is Robert Collins, Deputy Director of the Rent Board, here? Or thank you. Item number 7, file number 12048 there's a request for a continuance, and there's no objection by the complainant. So we will continue that till the next meeting next month. And file number 12049, item number 8, there has also been a request for continuance by both sides. No objection by Mr. St. Croix. Yeah, the request was from the complainant on that, and there was no objection by Mr. St. Croix. The approval of the minutes, everything else is as stated. Yes, Mr. 3?
Madam Chair, on the items 7 and 8, where there's agreement for continuance, the task force still needs to move to continue it, so you could take a motion on both at the same time if you like.
Okay.
You want a motion on that?
Yeah, I'd like to have a motion on items number 7 and number 8 to continue till next month's meeting.
I will so move, and I smell a second.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion amongst the members?
Just point of order. So that leaves us with 4 for today, items 2, 3, 5, and 6. That's a question. Sorry, I should have a question mark. 6?
It's number 2, 3, 5, and 6.
Okay, thank you.
Exactly. Is there any public comment on these items? If not, I'd like to take a roll call vote to approve this agenda with the changes. Madam Clerk?
Member Nee?
Aye.
Nee, aye. Member Washburn?
Aye.
Washburn, aye. Member Pilpel?
Aye.
Pilpel, aye. Member Oka?
Aye.
Oka, aye. Member Fisher?
Aye.
Fisher, aye. Chair Grant?
Aye.
Aye. You have 6 ayes.
Okay, great. So the agenda will move as stated. Madam Clerk, can we get started? Item number 2, please.
Item number 2, file number 12013. Compliance and Amendments Committee has referred file number 12013, William Clark against Howard Lazar, Arts Commission, back to the task force for further action and referral recommendation.
Great. I can't see. It's the complainant. So this is the case that we've heard. Will the complainant like to speak for, you have 5 minutes, to kind of give us any update from what we
Well,
know about the original case?
Well, I have not received any more details regarding a breakdown of what any of these costs were between the Arts Commission and the City Attorney's Office for FY 10-11 from the Arts Commission. I just want to point out a few facts. Of the total number of items on the City Attorney's time billing, there was 95 of them. 63 of them were Sunshine Ordinance, Brown Act related. Of the total number of hours for the city attorney for that year was 94 hours and 75 minutes, and the total number of hours that were Sunshine Brown Act related was 71 and a half hours. The total amount of the cost to the city attorney for that year was $20,396.25, of which $15,491 were Sunshine Ordinance Brown Act related. And as of now, I do not know what any of those costs were. I was given the time slip, the city attorney's time billing case, which I objected. I stated there wasn't enough information in any of those items to tell me anything about what the subject matter was in regards to these conferences between the Arts Commission and the City Attorney's Office, specifically in regards to the Sunshine Ordinance, Sunshine and Brown Act related. It just labeled it Sunshine Ordinance Brown Act related, and as you determined, that was a violation of the Sunshine Ordinance, because all communications between the city attorney and any person in the government relating to the Sunshine Ordinance or the Brown Act is public information. And so you ordered them to you ordered the Arts Commission to contact the city attorney and see if they could give me some more details about what each one of these conferences were, what they were about, and what the result of them was. And at the compliance hearing, no further information was given to me, at that particular time. So I have no more information. And what I'm still asking for what I'm saying is that I find it hard to believe that all these conferences could take place, and the Arts Commission has no record, no emails of any of these other than what's listed on the city attorney's time billing that states what these conferences were in regards to and what the outcome of these conferences were. So, for instance, the one that stated that the subject matter was other. Well, in order to know that a subject matter is other, you have to know whether it's other of. And so, therefore, there must be some records, emails back and forth, or timekeepings in the street artist's office that says that on this specific date, Mr. Lazar talked to the city attorney about this sunshine ordinance case. And so each one of these item costs to the street arts program, which are listed, there must be some related documentation somewhere in the Arts Commission that has something in there. Like if they met with the city attorney about something, there has to be a result of that meeting. Otherwise, it's a waste of time for everybody because we're paying them this money, but we got nothing out of it. So I don't know where to go at this point other than I assumed we were here to refer it to somebody, but I'd like to refer it back to the Ethics Commission for a willful violation of giving me any more information about what any of these expenses, what these conferences between the city attorney and the Art Commission was, because I believe that some of them were not necessary, and some of them may be for the purpose of preventing public information from being given to me or other individuals, which the city attorney is prohibited from giving anybody advice in order to prevent the release of public information. So how can we determine whether or not these are valid costs, valid conferences, if nobody has any inclination of what they were about or what the results were?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone here that wants to speak on behalf of the complainant? On the issue he just spoke on? Please come forward.
No, I can do this. Hi, my name is Paula Dadish, and I know that these are unnecessary expenses because I reviewed the accounting, and I was before you with a sunshine request where money was billed per Paula Jessen of the city attorney's office for consultation. And I can tell you from personal experience, Howard Lazar put up barriers. His claim was that he didn't know my email, that the emails were coming back, that I had 3 or 4 different emails, which none of it is true. And I believe, and I know that, and it's been documented through newspaper articles, that the majority of the money billed to the city attorney's office is not for advice as to how to give over documents, it's how to prevent the documents from being released.
Great.
And my personal experience in the complaint that I lost was that the defense of Kate Peterson was to slander me personally, and that was very difficult to take. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the respondent like to come forward and just kind of update us since the compliance and amendments?
Sure. So I'm Kate Patterson with the San Francisco Arts Commission. I just wanted to clarify one thing. To my knowledge, there is not an article specific. There are articles about the Street Artists Program and city attorney's fees. However, they are mostly about those fees being charged to the Street Artists Program, but not necessarily to the level of detail that Ms. Ditesh put forward. So I think it's really important because oftentimes I think this body hears one perspective about the Street Artists Program that if I have the opportunity to shed light on sort of a more holistic picture related to the program, I'm going to take that opportunity to do so. Regarding this particular matter, this is now, I think, my third time in front of you, and from our perspective, we complied with the request, and we provided all of the information we had related to the request. I think in our last discussions about this, we determined that there was no perfect document that provided Mr. Clark exactly what he was looking for. That document doesn't exist. It is not the purview of Sunshine to require us to create new documents. However, I did commit to at least moving over our handwritten log to an Excel document so it would be easier to read. That is a method that works for Mr. Lazar to track all of the Sunshine requests, which are numerous and often. And there will never be a direct correlation between that log and what the city attorney presents in its billing, because there are a number of factors. They may bill later. There might be additional things related to that billing session that is then added to that. So it's just that, in other words, the city attorney's billing records is under the purview of the city attorney, and the Arts Commission doesn't have any control over how they describe cases, what information they put in there, nor is it within our purview to ask them to change it. I also think it puts us on a slippery slope, and we do a lot of work orders with a lot of different agencies, as do other city departments. And you're never going to get an exact correlation. I mean, depending on which kind of data logs individuals are keeping in their various agencies. So it's disheartening for us because I think we did in good faith provide everything we had to Mr. Clark, and it's not to his satisfaction, and we regret that, but we did comply. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to add any more comment for the respondent? If not, then I would like to open it up for discussion with the task force members. Member Pilpel?
Two things. First, to Chair Washburn.
Yeah.
That's where I was going to go.
Okay, you can say. I was going to suggest that.
I was just going to ask that the committee present its
Exactly.
recommendation and its rationale for bringing it back here.
All right.
Sorry.
So first of all, I'd like to say I think some of the newer members are aware of this by now, that there have been many complaints brought against the Arts Commission regarding the Street Artists Program and inability to obtain records. And the Clark brothers, I learned recently that they were instrumental in getting the Street Artists Program launched. They wrote the ordinance. And so they have understandably an interest in the viability of the program, an interest in particularly in understanding how money is spent, because the street artists themselves fund the program through fees. So over the years, the Clark brothers have been attempting to understand the accounting that's happening at the program, and they have faced a great many barriers. And in my 5 years on this body, I've come to see that. I've also come to see that Mr. Lazar doesn't come to our meetings, maybe once or twice. It's very hard to understand what exactly is going on there. And so Ms. Patterson may be correct in saying we don't have anything else, but what they have is clearly inadequate. There is no way to figure out if the $20,000 in question here was spent as they claim it was. The record keeping is completely inadequate. There is provision in the ordinance, section 67.29, that speaks to the fact that correspondence and records must be kept in a professional manner, and there is no way to characterize the handwritten, cryptic notes of Mr. Lazar as being professional. And so, in discussing this at some length at Compliance and Amendments, our thought was to bring it back here, thinking just what's the best way to proceed so that this whole situation can be rectified. And, part of me wants to, send this on to ethics with willful violation, but I don't know that that would help anything. I think what might help is referring this to education and outreach and working with Mr. Lazar. Okay, an Excel spreadsheet is fine, but you can put virtually nothing in an Excel spreadsheet, and it won't be any better, really, than his handwritten notes. What the Clark brothers want, and what the voters, the residents of San Francisco want, is accounting that can be understood. A clear, transparent accounting of how money is appropriated and spent. It's pretty straightforward. We all know what we're talking about here. That's what has to be in place. And I've come to believe that, the only way to get, or a good shot possibly of getting this to happen is sitting down with the Street Artists Program and the Arts Commission saying, okay, you have to get your records in order so that there is some transparency here, so that these records are professional and understandable, and the street artists can know that their fees are being spent in a way that's appropriate, not being spent, as the Clark brothers suspect, in efforts to prevent anybody from knowing what's really going on here. So that's my understanding of all of this after all this time. And I would welcome Chair Grant and Member Nita to add to my explanation.
I agree with what Chair Washburn has said. However, I think that referral to ethics is a good idea. I won't discuss the whys and wherefores right now. I don't suspect that there will be any opposition to sending this to the Education, Outreach, and Training Committee. I do suspect there will be opposition to sending this to ethics. So what I will propose is that there be two separate motions. One to send to Education, Outreach, and Training, one to send to ethics.
I was the third member on this, and my thinking is a bit different, and I am the new person on the team here, but just in looking at what was provided and what we are here to do and see if we are able to get if the Clark brothers were able to get the documentation that they wanted, I feel that they're asking for something that doesn't exist, and that's the problem. So they're not going to be content until we create a document, and that is not within our jurisdiction for us to determine if we need to create a document that meets all of their requirements, because maybe next time there'll be a different requirement that they want something different. So that was my thinking in that. My thinking of bringing this back here was because I would have liked to have concluded the matter, because I think that the two areas, the city attorney's office, that their documentation is what it is. It might be wrong, but I don't want to send to ethics for that reason. I think that education, outreach, and training, what we came up with, what I would have preferred to have seen done was to have concluded the matter, and then, but I know that's not willful, to have the Arts Commission, as Member Chair Washburn said, sit down with the two entities to create documents that are more open and transparent, to give more of the information. There's always going to be a time that you don't get all the information. So you're constantly trying to create new documentation. So for me, I would like to see more of a learning thing to create documentation. I don't think that this should go to ethics. I think that we're kind of, I don't know, stepping out of our jurisdiction with this, and that we just need to, with the matter at hand, they've given everything, I believe that they've given everything that they have. And I think that we need to move forward and try to create new documentation that will address the problems in the future. But as far as this matter is, I find, for me, I would refer to education, outreach, and training. And that's pretty much where I stand on this. Member Oka. Okay.
Having this sit through many hours of discussion on this in the short time that I've been here, it doesn't appear to me that the Arts Commission has any formal what I call formal documentation that tells us how the money is spent, who's in charge of dispersing the money, and how does the Art Commission survive without some kind of formal documentation as to how this is all taking place. I'd like to see that cleaned up right now.
Kate, would you like to come up and explain what the documentation
Well, then I think this gets into a budget question, and so if you want me to come and give you a budget presentation, I am happy to prepare that for you. But yeah, we do have a budget. It is very clear where the revenues come in, how programs are supported, what expenditures we can we predict to have in a given fiscal year. The Street Artist Licensing Program is unique insofar as that the license fees for the artists do support the program. It's revenue neutral. In addition, and those fees have gone up in the past couple of years, in part, in a very small part, in truth, because of city attorneys' fees. The lion's share of the fee increases have to do with benefits related to the two employees who work in that program. So if you want, I can bring in our deputy director to give you a budget presentation, but I don't think this is what this is about. No. Thanks.
But Kate, I'm sorry, Ms. Patterson.
Yes.
I guess I'm sorry. You have another?
Go ahead.
I guess my question is, following on to Member Washburn's mentioning to the .29 about the documents needing to be kept in a professional manner, and your knowledge that this is clearly a problem, that they keep coming back and wanting more documentation. Is Mr. Lazar open to providing more specificity or changing his code of conduct or conduct in that manner, or is he kind of stuck in his ways? I mean, he's not here, so I have to ask you. Or is he stuck in his ways and say, I'm not going to change anything, which in that case, maybe education and outreach and training is not appropriate and ethics is?
I mean, I think that there's a big misrepresentation about Howard Lazar. I mean, I think that, he's been the director of the program for 40 years. As I've mentioned before, there's almost 400 people in that program, and you hear from 3 or 4 of them. The lion's share of those participants are happy with his work. He isn't necessarily as computer savvy as a lot of people, but that log is very detailed and organized, and it's handwritten, but there's nothing wrong with that information. That's a way for him to track things in a way that works for him, in a way that when he is asked by a member of the public to provide information, he can go to and answer that question. I think that it actually is adequate. He is I spoke to him. I said, we need to at least move this into Excel. I said I would like to explore the possibility of if you are able to reconcile billing with the city attorney's office, let's see how we can do that. But again, it's asking us to create a document that doesn't exist. And to your point, Member Grant, we'll be asked to create all kinds of documents. And so, where does it end? And so, we don't want to come before you and, be painted as this agency that is not forthcoming, that is against open government. I mean, frankly, it's not true. I think in all instances, Howard responds to these requests, which he gets, 5 a week, and he responds to them in a timely fashion. And he does, in some cases, work with the city attorney to make sure that he's not violating anyone's right to privacy and that he is providing as much information as possible without stepping on anyone's rights. So we are doing the best that we can, honestly. We really are.
So I guess, the handwritten billing that he created and kept contemporaneously, is that was that moved over to an Excel spreadsheet, or
it's in the process of? I mean, this was, I think we met last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I haven't checked in with him, but we did have a conversation about it. We do have a meeting, I believe it's tomorrow or early next week, with the director and the deputy director to resolve this. I mean, I really want the Arts Commission to be above reproach and to make access to information facile. And to go above and beyond. And so we are doing the best to ensure that, to the best of our ability, we can provide information without going down that slippery slope. If it means that we improve functions within, then that's a good thing. But again,
and not to, totally blast these record keepings, because there is some instances of pretty clear specificity, as well as what was done. As an attorney, if I was would I have written more in some of these instances? Perhaps. Would I have written less in some of these instances? Perhaps. So I moved to go toward education and training because I don't know if there was anything else besides getting Mr. Lazar into the year 2013. We'll take 2012, right?
Well, we started this conversation in 2012, so
yes,
that's fair.
Exactly. So I just...
Attorney Threet had something he wanted to say, so I'd love to have him.
Through the chair, to members of the task force, I just want to, since this is an enforcement matter, so there's already an order that was found by the task force, and it's back here to determine what, if anything, more needs to be done with tracking enforcement of the decision. So the chief point of reference for this type of matter is the order of determination, and that order found 2 bases for violation at 67.21 and 67.26. 67.29 was not a matter, as I recall, that was considered during the determination, and is not a basis for the order. So if the task force makes a referral to EOT, it's certainly within the discretion of the task force to do that, or any other enforcement agency. If it goes outside of the task force, however, the issue may arise, is likely to arise, if the task force is here saying that the agency should have complied with 67.29, but that's not a basis of the order, then there's going to be a question whether it's an appropriate referral.
And it's 2.6 and 2.7 they were found in violation?
The order calls out 67.21B and 67.26.
That's timeliness and keeping holding to it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Member Pilpel?
Thank you. let me address ethics in a little bit, and I was actually going to talk much later in the agenda about what happened last week at the Ethics Commission with the referrals that we'd already made. But on the matter before us, and I should also say that I have no objection to referring it to EOT, so if that's what we end up doing, that's cool, and we'll figure it out. I did like the comment from Ms. Patterson that the Arts Commission shouldn't be painted as da-da-da. I mean, the Arts Commission should be painted. Never mind. I recall in the last hearing back in November on this, I asked if the level of detail from the city attorney could be enhanced with an additional field. Could Ms. Patterson address that? Because this actually turns on that question to a great degree for me. I was of the understanding that the report that we have in our packet starting at page 21 has certain categories of information and that there may have been other categories that weren't generated in this report. I recall asking if you could see that another version of the report was generated with whatever additional categories exist that don't violate attorney-client privilege. I recall you saying that you were going to see to that. I recall that we did not incorporate that into the order, and I'm just wondering if there's anything further on that would help me and maybe the rest of the task force.
Sure.
Thanks.
Well, I did send a letter on February 15th to that matter. And basically it says, with respect to the substance of the order, assuming it is effective, it stated the task force further finds the Arts Commission was required by the ordinance to request detail in its attorney billing record sufficient to identify what specific matters were worked on by the city attorney when advising the Arts Commission on compliance with the Sunshine Ordinance. We found no provision in the Sunshine Ordinance requiring a department to request any particular level of detail in its attorney billing record sufficient to identify what specific matters were worked on by the city attorney when advising the Arts Commission on compliance with the Sunshine Ordinance. Nevertheless, the SFEC, as represented by myself, did inquire if the original billing records related to Sunshine/Public Records advice contain additional details in the description line. They do not. So I made good on that promise. I did ask.
Well, let me try this another way, or another. It's not that there's additional description in these lines, it's is there another category that's not showing on this report? That was what I had asked, and that's what I thought you were going to pursue. Not whether there's, I mean, it doesn't appear that there's any redaction on the report from the city attorney. It's where it says, for example, you're looking with me on page 21.
I don't have it, but I recall. Yes.
Okay.
It's
got file number 496, which appears to be ArtCom or Arts Commission Street Artist Program. Then there's a line that says staff, Gessner, Francesca, for example, on this entry category or CAT phone call. Okay. The question is there another descriptor in this database that they're generating a report from that talks about the nature that has any other information? Is there another field descriptor, and could the report be rerun with that additional field? I didn't hear an answer to that in what you just related.
Okay. I didn't necessarily ask for another category, but I was very explicit with the city attorney about the type of information you were looking for, and I listed it out in my email to her. So I didn't use that very phrase category. I did ask for further description, so I apologize if that was a misunderstanding on my part, but I thought that further description and then elucidating on what that might be would cover those bases, so I apologize.
Then let me.
And that document's generated by the city attorney, correct? So it's a city attorney document.
Right, but it was.
Attorney Threet, I'd like to get some clarification.
Through the chair to Member Pilpel, I think this discussion stemmed in part from an exchange that you and I had about the database, and the field that I described was called description. So to the extent Ms. Patterson asked if there was further description, surely the response would encompass that. If I got a request that said, do you have further information that is a description, I can't imagine the type of parsing that would have to go into saying, no, we don't, if there's a description field that includes information.
I
can imagine, I cannot imagine. I'm trying not to characterize the parsing that may or may not have happened. I'm just trying to get at that field, and it sounds like there is a field. I guess to summarize, I'm not especially moved that we should refer this to ethics for a couple of reasons, including the fact that when we made this determination in November, it was by a 5-3 vote prior to our changing the bylaws, so it carried under the old rules of order, excuse me, not bylaws, rules of order. It carried on that basis, but would not carry today by that vote. And I suspect that the Ethics Commission would not view it in the best of light starting from there. I think that there could be some further discussion on this question of the description field, and so I would support our referring it to EOT. I think we absolutely have that power regardless of how the prior vote was, and I think we need to get some clarity moving forward for the complainants with the department. I would assume after 40 years that Mr. Lazar is not going to be there forever. Some may want him to be, but I assume that's not going to happen. So we should find a way to sort this out. And so I would support a referral to EOT.
There's no more commentary. I'd like to see if the complainant wants to offer any kind of rebuttal.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. Respondent first, then complainant.
Oh, sorry. Respondent, do you have anything more you'd like to say before we see if we take a motion?
Just one other sort of point of clarification that I sort of looked into after our last our meeting. Mr. Clark often refers to the fact that he found $120,000, which was misappropriated. That actually wasn't a mistake on the part of the Arts Commission. That was a mistake on the part of the Controller's Office, and we did get that money back. So again, I just want to be clear that sometimes we do mistakes and sometimes we do not make mistakes. So thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Clark?
Yeah, they got that money back thanks to me because I made them give it back. And it was also the Art Commission's responsibility because they keep the records, they know what they spend. So they're partially responsible and the controller is responsible. I do have a couple of comments. First, I want to make you aware that in a previous case, you found the city attorneys in violation of the Sunshine Ordinance. In a similar case where he gave, for the previous year, he gave us the time billing for Sunshine Ordinance requests, and he did exactly the same thing. He did not give he just listed it as Sunshine Ordinance. You found him in violation. That was case number 11001, and he refused to give any further information. That's why I didn't want to. That's why I went to the Arts Commission for the next year, because I knew the city attorney was refusing to give any information. So I thought that it was appropriate to go through the Arts Commission, and I wanted to state that if Mr. Lazar can keep a log that shows exactly how much time his staff spends in sunshine-related time and how their time is spent in regards to Sunshine Ordinance requests, then isn't it logical that he would keep a log of his staff and his time regarding how much time in the subject matter that they spend with the city attorney's office? I mean, if he's creating a log on one thing about what his time is about, it's only logical that he would keep a log in regards to his time spent with the Sunshine Ordinance. And I'd like to say, how does it benefit the city and anybody if the city conferences with the city attorney, there's no record of documentation anywhere in regard to exactly what that conference was for and what the result of that conference was. So it's illogical to me it's impossible for me to believe that there is not a record somewhere in the city attorney, in the Arts Commission's office that says that on this day I spoke to the city attorney about this subject and this is what the result of that was. So I just want to make that point that I find it humorous that they're going to keep a time billing on how they spend all the time they spend with the Sunshine Ordinance in order to yell at you folks because you're making them spend all this time and costing the city money. Yet when I pay for their services for the city attorney, somehow or another, oh well, we just don't have any records anywhere. We just don't keep those kinds of records. I'm all in favor of going to EOC to maybe draft new ways of doing this to make sure that this is the case. But I also feel
time has expired.
Yes, I also feel there's been a willful withholding of this information from me as to what these expenses were about.
Thank you.
I just want to make a quick statement. I mean, I bill 2,200 hours a year, and I have never in my billing put down the result of any. I've never put down the result in my bill. So I know you may, sir, be looking for that kind of information, but generally as a practical purpose, for people who do contemporaneous time every day, for years and years and years, I've never put down the result or the outcome of a meeting or a conference or a call or literally anything. And I was just racking my brain trying to think about that. And I submit my time to the court and clients all the time.
Thank you. I'd like to see if there is a motion to make a referral or find the matter concluded. This is on the original complainant on Section 67.21, and I want us to be mindful of that, and Section 67.26.
Madam Chair?
Member Nee?
Move to refer this to the Ethics Commission.
I second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded.
Madam Chair?
Member Nee?
Yes. The reason I believe this merits referral to ethics, there was an order of determination which cites violations of 67.21B and 67.26. Mr. Threed points out correctly that Section 67.29-7, which is about record keeping, is not part of the complaint, but it is by virtue of the violation of 67.29-7 that these other violations occurred. The heads of departments are required to make sure that records are kept in a businesslike and professional manner, or to cause records to be kept in a businesslike and professional manner. It's also required that department heads and employees of the city undergo sunshine training at least biennially. Presumably, Mr. Lazar has done that, and yet the record-keeping requirement has not been met. It is true we cannot force production of records, but when they're production of records that are not existent, but when those records are not kept in the first place, and the department head is aware that they should be kept, I think there is willful violation there.
Great, thank you. Member Pilpel?
So to Member Nee, let's be clear, Mr. Lazar is not a department head. He is not subject to that training requirement. It doesn't appear from what we've heard that no records were kept. In fact, Mr. Lazar has records. They've been produced. There was a report from the city attorney. That's been produced. It's not sufficient for me, but there is a record. So it does not appear that they didn't keep records, nor that they didn't keep them in a business-like manner. And as was already said, 67.29-7 was not implicated in our original order from back in November. I'm still not convinced at this point that we should refer the matter. I think that they've substantively met their burden. I think they could do more, and I've sought to get them to do more. I think we can do more in trying to bring them together, but I don't think referring it to ethics is going to achieve that goal. And so that's why I'm not supportive of the motion at this time.
Madam Chair.
Member Nee?
Even if Mr. Lazar is not the department head, he is still the direct respondent. He is the person to whom the request was made, and he took it upon himself to provide what records he did, but the records he provided were not satisfactory to the complainants. They were not satisfactory to they were not compliant with the order of determination.
Great. Is there any public comment on this issue?
My name is Robert Clark, and I support the motion. I want to make it clear to some of the commissioners that we weren't asking just for district attorney billing records. We were asking for any records that the Art Commission had dealing with how this money was being spent between the Art Commission and the city attorney. All we got was this handwritten record, so-called record from Mr. Lazar. Now, I find it incredulous that there weren't any emails between the Art Commission and the city attorney discussing all these subjects that were put on this time billing. There has to be emails somewhere at the Art Commission's office saying, city attorney, I want to talk to you about this particular subject. City attorney says, okay, well, let's talk about this. There's got to be more records there. Now, you can believe the Art Commission saying that they don't have any other records but this one handwritten record. I find that incredulous. There are other records at that Art Commission. They're refusing to give those records, and as a result of that, what happens is that the other violation it comes into play because they have to fall back on ignorance and say, well, look, we don't have these other records. We produced everything we could, and therefore they fall back on the fact that in that case, then they violate the Sunshine Ordinance based on a faulty record keeping, and this is willful on the part of the Art Commission. We found $130,000 that the Art Commission did not allow us to get, and we had to get it back on my own account. The Art Commission didn't back us up when we did it. We had to go in front of the Board of Supervisors. I'm discovering more money that's being used improperly by the Art Commission. They're refusing to give us these records. They won't even name the subjects of these issues that they discussed with the city attorney.
Thank you.
Yes. My name's Charlotte Lawn, and I'm here to request this body to
Can you pull that?
to send this to the Ethics Commission. They need to be held accountable. And that's the problem with the government. They don't want to have their cohorts be held accountable for serious violations. And I believe there are major violations, and I believe they should go directly to the Ethics Commission.
Great, thank you. Is there any more public comment?
Yes.
No, ma'am.
Oh,
You've already spoken on behalf of the complainant.
Thank you. I'd like to take this to a vote. Madam?
Can I have one more question?
Sure.
Can Ms. Patterson answer a question?
Yeah.
That in order?
Yeah, that's fine.
Can you answer that question? Are these all the records, emails regarding conversations with the city attorney regarding the Sunshine Act? Are these all the records, or is this complete?
I believe we turned over everything we had related to the inquiry.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
On the motion to refer to Ethics Commission, Member Nee?
Aye.
Nee, aye. Washburn?
Aye.
Washburn, aye. Pilpel?
No?
Pilpel, no. Sims?
No?
Sims, no. Oka?
Yes.
Oka, aye. Fisher?
No.
Fisher, no. Chair Grant?
No.
Chair Grant, no. You have 4 noes and 3 ayes.
So the motion failed.
I guess I'd like to make a motion that we send this matter to education and training.
So you're making a motion?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we send this to Education, Outreach, and Training. No, I need to open it up to
Public comment?
anyone. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just said you need to open it up for public comment.
Oh, okay. Is there any public comment on this to send it to Education, Outreach, and Training?
Well, obviously, I'm disappointed in the other vote, but the only thing I got to say is I would request that you order, if you can order, Mr. Lazar to be personally there. And I would like to say that you order him to be personally there, and if he feels that he can't attend that meeting because he may feel like he may get an asthma attack if he comes to these meetings, that he should send you a letter in advance that he has a physical problem that he can't attend. I just want to thank Mr. Nee and Ms. Washburn for all the hard work that they've done on this issue, and you know what's really the proper thing that we should do in this case, and I just wanted to thank you again for your hard work and for standing up for us.
Well, if I could just comment on that. All of the task force members have done hard work on it. The fact that some of them didn't agree with the motion to send to ethics should not be taken to mean that they haven't given this matter serious attention.
Thank you. Is there any more public comment? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, Howard Lazar will be there. I can, yes.
Thank you.
He will absolutely be there.
Thank you. Oh, it was a new motion. It was a new motion. Is there any more public comment? Well, I think you spoke on this issue before.
I spoke out of turn because I didn't understand your procedure, and I really have something relevant to add if I can.
Ms. Datish, you spoke as you are now part of the party. The party part of a party.
That.
You are now part of a party in interest. So when public comment comes, you are no longer.
Yeah.
You are no longer entitled to speak as part of public comment.
Yeah, and there'll be regular public comment on items not on the agenda, which you can't speak at that time. At this time, then, I would like to take a roll call vote on sending this on Member Sims' motion. Can you reread the motion for me and then take a roll call vote, please?
The motion is to refer to the Education, Outreach, and Training Committee.
And will you make note that Ms. Patterson did agree in that motion that Mr. Lazar will be present when we do bring that to the Education, Outreach, Training? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Member Nee?
Aye.
Nee, aye. Washburn?
Aye.
Washburn, aye. Pilpel?
Aye.
Pilpel, aye. Sims?
Aye.
Sims, aye. Oka?
Aye.
Oka, aye. Fisher?
Aye.
Fisher, aye. Chair Grant?
Aye.
You have 7 ayes.
Great. So the motion passes. Thank you both for coming. It is 5 o'clock. It is time for public comment. So on items not on the agenda for today. So, yeah, we still have a quorum. Okay. I was like, do we have a quorum? Yeah.
Thank you, members. William Clark. I want
And everyone, you'll have 3 minutes tonight.
Yes. Okay, I'll try to make this brief. I just want to make you aware of what happened at the Ethics Committee regarding my complaint, and I am requesting that you ask for a rehearing on the matter for 2 reasons.
Wait, I'm sorry, sir. Which complaint? Can you give me the number?
The complaint number was...
Wait, I have it.
Don't take this out of my time.
I won't.
Okay. The complaint number was number 09120703 was the ethics complaint number.
Okay.
Okay, they dismissed 2 charges against Mr. Lazar, found him guilty of 1 charge, and they dismissed the willful misconduct charge against them in disregard of their own new bylaws. Their new bylaws state that that under Chapter 2 of their new regulations, that the complaint you sent there, that the findings by the Sunshine Ordinance are considered accurate, and that the respondent bears the burden of returning that finding. Yet at the hearing, a majority of the members stated that Mr. Lazar did not overcome his burden of not proving willful misconduct, and even though they stated that that was the case, that he did not bear his burden to overturn your ruling, they dismissed that charge against Mr. Lazar anyway. So I'd like to request that you all view the hearings, for one thing, for that particular case violation, because it deals with your willful charges. They said he did not overcome his burden, even though their new regulations say that your findings were held to be and the other thing is that at that hearing, the first thing that happened was Mr. Lazar also presented some documents to the Ethics Commission right before the meeting, even though their regulations say they have to be presented 5 days before the hearing, and the complainant's supposed to get a copy. I didn't get a copy of any of the documents. I still don't know what the documents were, and the task force relied on those documents in their hearing, and that's a violation of their hearing procedures, Chapter 2, Part 2, subsection C2, and I would like to make that request and make you aware of the fact that I feel I had an unfair hearing on the willful violation portion of it, because I feel that they disregarded this task force finding and they dismissed it, claiming that you did not present enough evidence to them for them to make a finding in your favor. And they said that even though they admitted that Mr. Lazar did not overcome his burden to overturn your finding. So I think it's very important that you view my hearing, because in the future, unless you give them lots of information, they're just going to overcome every willful thing that you say. So I want to make you aware of that.
Thank you very much.
To continue on this theme, I want to make it clear. They claim that it was your guys' fault because you did not present the evidence to support your position, when Chapter 2 clearly says they have to go into that hearing assuming that the task force is correct. And if you listen to the tape, they actually say, no, Mr. Lazar did not meet his burden on this issue, but they're going to vote against you because it was what the Sunshine Task Force fault, basically, because you didn't present enough evidence. I want to make some of the commissioners, some of the members here aware that Mr. Lazar went into that hearing, and he first said that he was at the 2 meetings, and it wasn't until my brother got up and told him, no, Mr. Lazar was at the first meeting, and he ran out of the meeting while my brother was talking and took his representative with him and never returned. Mr. Lazar was claiming that he presented statements at both hearings, and my brother had to, and myself had to get up and basically say he's lying again because he ran out of the meeting. And Mr. Lazar got back up and said, oh, yeah, that's right. I did run out of the meeting. And he said, I did that because I had an asthma attack and I needed to be escorted by my representative. Now, first of all, if he had an asthma attack which he sent the task force a meeting, he could have sent his representative back and said, tell the task force members I have an asthma attack. He didn't do that. Then Mr. Lazar went even further because the commission has asked him, did you attend the second meeting? And he said no. And they asked him, why didn't you attend the second meeting? And he said, because I was afraid I was going to have another asthma attack. Yet, he had a month to tell this task force. He me to send them a letter and say, I'm not going to appear at the next meeting. The task force was expecting him to be at this meeting. He never sent a letter, an email to the task force saying, look, I'm not going to come to this next meeting because I'm afraid I'm going to have another asthma attack. And finally, they asked him, well, why didn't you just tell Mr. Clark that there was nothing happening in regards to what we were asking about? And Mr. Lazar actually got up there and said, well, honestly, I don't know why I didn't tell him. I guess I should. I don't know why. And all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to explain to the new members and the old members that, I can't go in front of the Ethics Committee under a Chapter 2 assuming that your findings are correct when the Ethics Commission is going to turn around and let some city official off the hook because they're going to turn around and blame the task force for not presenting enough evidence when you're under the assumption they're going to accept your decisions as being correct, and it was going to be the burden of proof was on him. So, I think you should look into this matter, and we're asking for a rehearing on it.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Paula Dadish, and the newspaper article that I was referring to previously was in the San Francisco Weekly on August 22, 2012, and actually Kate Pedersen tweeted about it, so she certainly was aware of it. And under the comments section, it was Hope Johnson, your former chair, who made that comment that the majority of city attorneys' fees were used to prevent the people getting public information. I also want to say that I have a pending sunshine complaint. Since they're way behind and never furnished me with any documents, I called Ms. Peterson last week, and her response was I was harassing her and she was going to file a police report. Also, I went into the Arts Commission office 2 days ago asking for Rebecca Krill since nobody responded to an email that I sent that I felt was important. I heard Howard Lazar on the phone. He was talking to someone and he said, if she enters City Hall 4th floor, as I expect she will, I will have to call a sheriff's deputy to escort her out. And I want to express to you that I'm certainly aware of First Amendment protection, the Brown Act, and the Sunshine Ordinance. And this is deliberately done to prevent me from speaking. I would like to submit this into the public record, which is a pending hearing I have before the Street Artists Committee on the 13th of this month. There are 6 allegations made against me, 5 on a stand that I've never seen before, is not mine, and there's no evidence to link me to that stand. And then the 6th charge, which is the most troubling, is that I'm supposed to be stalking Howard Lazar. I've gone out of my way to research. There are no police reports against me. There are no restraining orders against me. It's something invented out of his mind. I actually went in for a screening with the Board of Craftsmen and Examiners on the 28th of February, and he harassed me so bad I had to leave. Here's the CD of the tape and my response to the pending allegations. I would suggest there's something seriously wrong here. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any more public comment? If not, then I would like to propose us taking a quick break because we have to make a call for the next case. So how long, Madam Clerk, do you think you need? Like 2 or 3 minutes? Okay, so let's take it's 5 minutes. So we'll take a little quick 5-minute break so Madam Clerk can get this phone call together for our next case. Thank you.
When you get to be a woman of a certain age, they want to check all those things, she said, I exercise all the time. All of a sudden, I don't know where my cholesterol is. Because my girlfriend likes to eat steak.
But I asked them to take it on the agenda because the whole thing is so rich. And they're not going to do it, so I have to.
Like in 2 minutes. Yeah. Okay, sure. Bye-bye.
What do you think about it? Okay?
Yeah.
You got the stuff?
Okay.
All right, good. I wanted to schedule the next DOT meeting, but there's no Todd and there's no Suzanne, so I'll have to call you and we'll figure it out. Once again, they're sending more work our way, and they're not here to figure out when to do and then to do it.
If we need to meet after 6, I don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine. It's when they're, whatever.
Thank you.
I'm on it.
Okay?
Yeah, you look healthy. Awesome. Busy, but such is life. What can you do? I need to take myself on a long vacation. One of these days.
Andrea? Is she on?
Life is trouble, yeah.
And it's better than the alternative. You have the start of a nice sort of slash your throat sort of scar there.
I got the woman who spoke earlier. Got her last name, so keep that for the minutes.
Young Frankenstein?
Oh, okay. I loved that movie. I can't remember lines.
Always, right?
We will, you promised me we will do a...
Hello, are you here?
Yes.
Hello.
Oh, good. Okay. I'm going to put you on mute, okay?
Time.
Okay.
All right. Just hold on.
Except for when I have other things.
That was so funny. Was it Marty Feldman? Igor. And his hump moved from sun to sun.
My thought that if
I know. I just love that. That was from the early 70s. A long time ago.
Yeah, probably means like once a year. If
It's true. Yeah.
there's a thing that we should probably have.
Oh, my God.
My father, that was his very favorite movie ever.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
If you're able to turn it up just a little bit louder, that'd be wonderful.
Okay. We're in recess right now. Probably be back in about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So do you want me to call back?
No. Stay on the lines. They're coming back right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So she's all good.
Yeah, you can hear her, all right?
Oh my goodness.
Have to speak in the
No,
mic.
I think
Just
so.
speak to the mic, yes.
Won't feel tonight, so, you know.
It's just like she's here.
I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think
So it's cool. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Okay. Great. Okay, so number 3, let's check these. So we're on item.
She's on, where is it?
She's on, so yeah. I'm just waiting. I definitely want Jerry to come back for this one.
My goodness.
Trust me, I'm being
On the jurisdiction issue.
Goodness.
Who's here? Who's representing the housing authority? Because if it's, well, he said,
I'll never forget my grandma said, you don't want to know. We're like translating it for everybody. 7.
Mm-hmm.
Our call, though.
Yeah, that went right over
was
my head, of course.
Yeah, that was, Cleavon Little, that was like, the sheriff is. Yeah. Is it true? I mean, there was just such 6. It's cold in here. I keep trying to ignore the fact that it's a little chilly in here. Are we ready? It's so funny, I ran into, one of our frequent flyers, Mr. Warfield from the Library Users Group. I ran into him last weekend at the Bernal Heights Library, where my partner and I were checking out a big stack of books. He's standing there, and he's doing one of these, like, parody thing, and I went, "Good afternoon, Mr. Warfield." Blue, Sunshine Ordinance. He goes, "Oh." I said, "You really are a library user." Scene of where it all happened, which happens to be my library. I mean, it's 6 blocks from my house. The infamous mural.
Oh, right. So it's all painted over? Or...
Should have been done in agenda.
right, but we can still, on the fly, whatever, okay.
I thought you were, and I don't know the woman, and I mean respectfully. I thought you were.
You want it? So we'll do that, go to film, and then come back.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Oops. I'd like to call this meeting back to order. Madam Clerk, can you read the next item on the agenda?
Item number 3, file number 12031, complaint filed by Anonymous against Commissioner's Housing Authority for allegedly not providing a response to an immediate disclosure request regarding former residents of Department said and monies paid to Department said are stellar management.
Great.
Madam Chair.
Member Nee?
Yes. I'd like to seek the counsels of our Deputy City Attorney and my task force colleagues on my possible recusal from the jurisdiction portion of this matter.
Can we just make sure, I'm sorry, I just remember, can we make sure that she's on the phone? Okay.
You're on the phone, Anonymous? You're on the phone? Complainant? Yeah. Okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought about that.
The complainant actually asked me how to go about retrieving the records. The complainant asked me about the whole jurisdiction question at the time he was requesting the records. And I did provide some advice and counsel to the complainant, not on the substance of the complaint or the substance of the records, but on the matter of where jurisdiction might be found in this. If the complainant or the respondent would like me to recuse, I will do so. If Mr. Threet or my task force colleagues advises that recusal is appropriate, then I will ask for recusal.
Mr. Threet, I'd like to get your opinion on that.
Through the chair to Member Nee and other task force members, this is something I'll have to look into. It's not an easy issue to determine whether someone and a public official is conflicted out of a decision. So it's going to take me a few minutes. You may want to move on and hear from the different parties.
Okay. Member.
The complainant has a question.
Yes. Can you speak up a little bit just because we can't hear you so everyone can hear you?
Yes.
And the respondent? Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Can you hear?
Are there enough commissioners present for a quorum tonight?
Yes.
Yes.
So if Commissioner Nee recuses himself, are there still enough commissioners for a quorum?
Yes.
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 Well, then I would move that Commissioner Nee recuse himself.
Okay.
So there are no conflicts of interest.
This will require my recusal would require a vote of the task force.
Yes.
So someone would have to move that I be recused.
I'd like to know if do you
While Jerry's looking that up.
Hmm?
While Jerry's looking that up, can I talk to Rick about this?
talk to who?
To Rick. Member Nee.
Member Nee. Okay.
So to Member Nee, I'm not making a motion at this point. I just wanted to inquire, is the nature of your discussion the nature that you would provide to any member of the public asking about our procedures and just sort of general comment about how things work, number one, and number two, do you believe that you're biased at all in the matter, or that you can deal with the issue both on jurisdiction and on the merits fairly?
Well, I think I could. The substance of the complaint we have not discussed ex parte, and my recusal would be only for the jurisdiction portion. What advice I would give to any member of the public probably matches the advice that I have given to the complainant, but the advice is specific to this matter, and so that is why I have brought this to the attention of all parties here, and that is why particularly since the complainant has asked that I be recused, I would, respectfully request recusal, and I believe Mr. Threet has a comment.
Great. Thank you.
Through the chair, I think that there's actually two different issues involved in this, and one is what would typically be called a conflict of interest, and I don't believe there is a conflict of interest under these facts. There are typically conflicts of interest for decision makers are based in statutes that deal with financial conflicts of interest. There is also the potential for what's referred to as a common law a common law conflict of interest, and that comes into play where you may have a duty of loyalty to a private party that comes into conflict with your duty of loyalty to the public. It doesn't sound like the connection here is so close or so intense that it would rise to that level, although, I do turn that question back to Member Nee to contemplate and maybe give further information about. The second issue, however, comes into play is an issue of due process. Typically, the parties in any adjudication have a due process right that the adjudicators sitting in judgment of the conflict between them be neutral and can be objective and look at the facts without any preconceived belief one way or the other about who will prevail in that issue. And it does seem to me under these facts that may be implicated in a negative way on the issue of jurisdiction.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Member Nee?
Yeah, it is that second issue that I think is relevant here. I don't perceive a conflict of interest. However, I do perceive that there could be perhaps prejudice of my position, or at least the appearance of prejudice, and that is why I've raised the matter, and that's why perhaps a recusal would be appropriate.
Thank you. I'd like to hear from the representative from the Housing Authority. What's your take on this?
My name is Brian Finn. I'm here representing the Housing Authority, and I agree with the analysis of counsel that there's a potential for a due process concern. There's very little information upon which to really make a determination, but I echo the concerns voiced by counsel and by Member Nee.
Thank you. Okay. Anonymous?
Yes.
Is there something in the background? Because there's background noise that
That is true. That is background noise. I'm going to have to speak louder.
Okay, great. Thank you. If you could do so.
What was the name of counsel for Housing Authority?
It's not counsel. He's Representative Brian.
Brian Finn.
Finn.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So at this time, do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we recuse Member Nee on the basis, that we recuse Member Nee on the basis that there could be a perceived conflict of interest and only for the purposes of jurisdiction.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to recuse Member Nee for the jurisdiction portion of this case. Is there any public comment on this? If not, does this sit without objection? Without?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I, Madam Clerk?
But he does vote.
Madam Clerk, may I get a roll call vote on this, please? Does Member Nee vote?
It's he hasn't been recused, so if he's present, he has to vote.
He shouldn't vote on his own recusal.
Really?
Okay.
Should not?
Should not.
He should abstain.
Great.
Well, you don't abstain, though, so...
Yeah.
So how do we record it? It's not voting?
It's on him. He just won't vote because it's about him. So let's just no vote. Madam Clerk?
Member Nee?
Aye.
Vote.
Oh, not voting.
Yeah.
Washburn.
Aye.
Washburn, aye. Pilpel.
Aye.
Pilpel, aye. Sims.
Aye.
Sims, aye. Oka.
Aye.
Oka, aye. Fisher.
Aye.
Fisher, aye. Chair Grant.
Aye.
Chair Grant, aye. 6 ayes.
Okay, so Member Nee will recuse himself just from this portion of the case on jurisdiction. The respondent is contesting the jurisdiction, so I would like to see if the complainant would like to speak to that. Anonymous, you have 5 minutes to speak to this jurisdiction issue.
Well, I would like to have Member Nee to recuse himself for clarity, and also that
Anonymous, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I don't know if you heard us. We just did a vote where Member Nee recused himself from this portion of the jurisdiction.
Well, I agree with that.
Okay, great. So you have 5. Okay, so we did a vote and it passed, and he has recused himself from this portion. So we are now on to the portion of jurisdiction because the respondent has contested jurisdiction. So I wanted to give you 5 minutes to make your case for jurisdiction for us to hear this case.
All right.
Okay?
Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yes, now we can.
All right. Under Section 67.32 of the Sunshine Ordinance, which is on page 28 of the Sunshine Ordinance, it states the following. It is the policy of the City and County of San Francisco to ensure opportunities for informed civic participation embodied in this ordinance to all local, state, regional, and federal agencies and institutions with which it maintains continuing legal and political relationships. Officers, agents, and other representatives of the city shall continually, consistently, and assertively work to see commitments to enact open meetings, public information, and citizen comments, policies by these agencies and institutions, including but not limited to the Presidio Trust, the San Francisco Unified School District, the San Francisco Community College District, the San Francisco Transportation Authority, the San Francisco Housing Authority, the Treasure Island Development Authority, the San Francisco Redevelopment Authority, and the University of California. There lies your jurisdiction that the Housing Authority is under the Sunshine Ordinance, Section 6732 of the Sunshine Ordinance, page 28.
Great, thank you.
Furthermore, it states that under Section 67.33 Department Head Declaration, all city department heads and all city management, employees, and all employees or officials who are required to sign an affidavit of financial interest with the Ethics Commission shall sign an annual affidavit or declaration stating under penalty of perjury that they have read the Sunshine Ordinance and have attended or will attend when next offered a training session on the Sunshine Ordinance to be held at least once annually. All commissioners of the San Francisco Housing Authority are required to sign an affidavit of interest. They are all required to sign that. And all of them have signed it. When this incident took place in the dating before we had the new commissioners that are on board now, when this was first sent May 7, 2012, I downloaded the affidavits of economic interest of all of the commissioners. They were under the Sunshine Ordinance, and they still are.
Are you finished?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Obviously I can't see you, so forgive me for keep asking you. Is there anyone on behalf of the complainant regarding jurisdiction? If not, I'd love for the respondent to come up. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the task force. My name is Brian Finn. I'm from Chalakian & Associates, an attorney. I've been retained to defend the San Francisco Housing Authority with regard to certain actions filed by complainant. Complainant miscites or misunderstands the section that she just read. Essentially, the section she just referred to talks about actual people within the city government who are covered by the statute maintaining an open book with regard to their dealings with the San Francisco Housing Authority and the other entities that she discussed. The respondent agrees with the position taken by this board and published on its own website under the frequently asked questions section. And the question asked is, does the San Francisco Sunshine Ordinance apply to all departments, agencies, boards, and commissions? And the answer provided is the following: the San Francisco Sunshine Ordinance applies to all agencies and boards and commissions created by the city charter or by ordinance or resolution passed by the Board of Supervisors. The Sunshine Ordinance does not apply to the San Francisco Health Authority, the San Francisco Housing Authority, the San Francisco Redevelopment Agency, the San Francisco Transportation Authority, the Community College District, and the San Francisco School District. These agencies are only subject to the California Public Records Act and the state open meeting law, which is called the Brown Act. Indeed, the Housing Authority is a public corporation formed under state law, health and safety code sections 34-200 et sec, commonly referred to as the Housing Authority laws. So it's the contention and the position of respondent that this body has no jurisdiction to rule on this matter, and that complainant needs to seek redress under the state law provisions applicable.
Complainant would like to address the issue.
One moment. Let us get through the process, and you will have time to come back to this. Is there anyone here to offer any more support in this jurisdiction? No. Then I would like to open it up for the task force to ask questions regarding jurisdiction. Does anyone have any questions? You do?
Yes.
Tell it who you have for.
I guess I have questions for you, sir. So, what is your interpretation of 67.32? The policy, the code section of the Sunshine Ordinance that the complainant has addressed, saying is applicable to the Housing Authority.
Well, she's wrong. And my analysis is that if you reread that section, it refers to openness regarding dealings with the particular named entities. So agencies who are covered by the ordinance must take steps to comply themselves in relation to their dealings with these particular entities. But that doesn't stand for the proposition that the entities themselves are covered by the particular act and subject to proceedings such as this. Mm-hmm. So, in a situation similar to the last case you heard, where you're dealing with one entity, but the other entity isn't there and it isn't providing documents, if there were interactions between one entity that is covered and an entity that isn't, the entity that is covered must maintain and produce the documents responsive. That's my reading.
Thank you. Member Pilpel?
Yes, so to Member Sims, and to sort of educate a little bit about this, having participated in the drafting of 67.32, it was the intention that to the extent that there were agencies that weren't created by charter, ordinance, or resolution of the Board of Supervisors, but with which the city had either a greater or lesser nexus, that we should encourage those entities to have stronger requirements than the Brown Act or the Public Records Act required. And it was a policy declaration within the ordinance to so recommend. And it named those particular entities. It also, has broader application to joint exercise of powers authorities and agencies that the city is a member of, bodies like the Golden Gate Bridge District, to which the mayor and the Board of Supervisors appoints, in their case, not a majority, but close to a majority of the members, and specifically looked at the Health Authority, the Housing Authority, redevelopment. And since the ordinance was amended by the voters, members of this task force over the years have gotten the redevelopment agency, the school district, and the community college district in particular to strengthen their laws and requirements as relates to public meetings and records in furtherance of 67.32. So it really was a policy declaration, but doesn't bind those agencies in other than an urging sort of manner. So I'll opine in a moment about what I feel on jurisdiction, but to Member Sims, I hope that helps give you some background on that section.
Would you clarify to say that 67.32 actually more accurately encourages the city to seek commitments from the San Francisco Housing Authority and those other entities mentioned to comply with the Sunshine Ordinance and the other public meetings and information and citizen comment requirements?
It was to encourage those agencies, both directly and through dealings with city actors, to adopt as their own either provisions of the Sunshine Ordinance or provisions similar to Sunshine that enhance public access to meetings and records beyond what's required by Brown Act and CPRA.
Thank you. Oh, Member Washburn?
I have a question regarding 67.32. This is on page 28 of the 29-page, my 29-page copy of the ordinance. And it's the sentence, the first full sentence on that page: to the extent not expressly prohibited by law, copies of all written communications with the above identified entities and any city employee, officer, agents, and representatives shall be accessible as public records. So these aren't internal documents to these bodies. This is communication between these bodies and this city. So if the records that Anonymous asked for were these types of documents, then this would fall under our jurisdiction. Although would she have had to ask for the records from the city and not the housing authority? I'm just trying to figure out how this works.
Attorney Threet, can you?
Through the chair to, excuse me, to Member Washburn, to the extent the documents were in the custody of a city official, yes. To the extent that they were held by employees of these other agencies, no.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And just for the
one moment, Anonymous. We're going to get to you in 1 second.
And just for the record, I want to make clear that on September 6, 2012, House counsel or internal counsel employed by the Housing Authority did provide responsive documents to Ms. Osbury, which included the demographic information and the financial information that was requested, and provided a statement that information responsive or documents responsive to the other requests did not exist. So there was in the spirit of cooperation and open proceedings, a response to that. It was a little tardy beyond the period of time.
I'm sorry,
for which
I'm not to interrupt you. I just would request that the focus be on jurisdiction only and not the merits.
Sure,
No
and
offense.
I appreciate that. I was just trying to respond to Member Washburn's the spirit
Question.
of
Sure.
spirit of cooperation.
Thank you. Okay. So right now then, if you kind of spoke, but if you would like to have a final kind of concluding statement about jurisdiction, which I think you've kind of
Yeah,
gone over.
I think I pretty much covered it, and I think the comments of the members basically substantiate my argument.
Okay, thank
So
you.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anonymous?
I would just like to point to the third paragraph in the letter that I left with Ms. Osbury today from the Regional Administrator of HUD, and dated October the 5th, 2012. And it says that although the SFHA receives funding from HUD, it is governed by the locally appointed Board of Commissioners under state law, and as such, HUD is not involved in its daily operations or decisions. Again, I think that they are dancing around the issue. This is an issue where a representative from the Housing Authority, not an attorney, should be there, and the mayor appoints the board, and they are responsible, and they have to do the SEI, Statement of Economic Interest. They are under the interest. They are under the jurisdiction of the Sunshine Ordinance, and they know that. Or otherwise, they would not do the Statement of Economic Interest. And I also quoted in my letter the California Public Records Act also, and they still did not comply with the request in a reasonable amount of time. And it is my contention for the record that they are under the San Francisco Sunshine Ordinance.
Okay, are you finished?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, I would like to see if there is any one that would like to make a motion to determine jurisdiction or whether no jurisdiction, whether we have jurisdiction or whether we don't have jurisdiction.
So to
Yes, Member Pilko.
So to Deputy City Attorney Threet, so we should have a motion either way if we can? Is that your?
Through the chair, yes, you should.
Okay. Then I will make a motion to not find jurisdiction.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's Attorney Threet.
Through the chair, just to clarify, the motion could be read in more than one way, so if I may restate it to make sure that I'm clear. The motion is to find that there is no jurisdiction?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Like I said,
What did
it's
you
to
say?
find no jurisdiction. I said to not find, but yes, you are restating it fairly accurately, to find no jurisdiction.
That the task force finds no jurisdiction. This
With
body.
regard to this complaint against this agency at this time in this city, near this planet.
Great.
Call me
let's just keep
mistress
it-
of the
yeah,
obvious.
Let's keep it clear because this does come back. So thank you. So, Madam Clerk, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any public comment about jurisdiction?
Since there is no conflict of interest finding connected with my recusal, I believe I do have standing to address the task force on this. I would recommend that you do find jurisdiction. Something that has not been brought up here is section, I believe it's 67.3D7 of the ordinance. And I believe you will find that it says that commissioners or boards that are created or appointed by public officials are do fall under the jurisdiction of the ordinance. Now, the complainant has said that she sought the records not only from the Housing Authority itself, but from the Housing Authority Commission. She specifically requested from the Housing Authority Commission the records that she wanted. The commission the commission members are appointed either by the mayor or by the Board of Supervisors. I'm sorry, I do not remember which, but they are appointed by city officials, and therefore, under 67.3D7, they do fall under the jurisdiction of the task force. I would strongly recommend you do find jurisdiction.
Thank you. Is there any more public comment? If not, then, Madam Clerk, I'd like to take you take a roll call vote, please, this time.
Member Washburn?
No.
Washburn, no. Pilpel?
Aye.
Pilpel, aye. Sims?
Aye.
Sims, aye. Oka?
Aye.
Oka, aye. Fisher?
Aye.
Fisher, aye. Chair Grant?
Aye.
Chair Grant, aye. There are 5 ayes, 1 no.
Were you going to say something? Member
So
Pilpel?
to Deputy City Attorney Threet, does this seem like a procedural matter or a substantive matter? And if it is a substantive matter for which we only have 5 votes, would a motion to continue this be appropriate? I don't want to get this wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we want to get this wrong.
Through the chair to members of the task force, it would be my advice that a finding of jurisdiction is a substantive matter because it affects the total outcome of the complaint.
So that means that because the vote was 5-1.
Right.
With 6.
The vote failed.
Right.
Vote fail.
So, all right, and you want to just go on?
Yes.
Okay.
So in that case, because there were 6 votes, I am going to call it the motion for jurisdiction failed. So this matter is concluded, correct?
No.
Well, that's what I was.
For jurisdiction.
Through the chair, unless there's a finding of jurisdiction, you cannot proceed to the substance of the complaint itself. It's obvious that there's not sufficient votes on the task force to find that there's no jurisdiction. It's likely that if a reverse motion is made, you'll simply have the reverse vote, although you may want, it's within your discretion to have that motion. So the most appropriate motion would likely be a motion to continue the matter until another meeting where you have more members to vote on it.
Okay.
That I think is a problem as long as we only have 7 members.
We don't. We have absent
But
members.
we have 2 people that are absent today, excused absences. So we could continue this.
Yes. If possible, I would agree to the continuance with additional, perhaps, briefing by members of the public regarding 67.3D. I'm sorry, 67D. 67.3D, excuse me.
Yeah.
That was mentioned by Mr. Nee. Because I would be interested to see what interpretation that is, because it was something kind of we did not get to discuss at length.
Through the chair, to the extent the task force wants to revisit this issue, I would say for my analysis, the type of information that I would need is how the governing body of the housing authority is established, whether it's under state law or local law, will be a fact that could have some importance. I believe they are appointed by the mayor, so they're appointed locally, but it would be helpful to know how they're also created, how the governing body is created. Is it created in state law? Is it created under local law? Those types of things. And then I'd be happy to provide an analysis of that section.
Yes.
Okay. Member Pilpel.
Trying to figure out whether we need to, need to reach that is kind of where I'm at. If, as chair, if you want to rule that because there were insufficient votes to find, that there was no motion yet to find jurisdiction, and that a motion to not find jurisdiction
And then continue
failed,
the-
that the matter is, if you want to rule that the matter is concluded, and if there is no objection from the body, and if our rules don't provide otherwise, we could maybe deem the matter concluded. If we're not going to do that, then I'm prepared to move to continue the matter with whatever direction and either require or encourage the absent members to review at least this portion of the meeting so that they can have be exposed to the information that we just discussed.
Got it. 1 second. Member Washburn? She's not going to.
Yes, I would be interested in moving for a continuance. I think the point that Member Ney brought up could make all the difference in the world, and we didn't discuss it. I would like to see an analysis by Deputy City Attorney 3. I would like to understand what we're doing here.
Yep.
Member Oakham.
Oh, Member Oakham, sorry.
Yeah. It is my understanding that the Housing Authority is under the jurisdiction of HUD, and the commission, I believe, was created not by the city government, but within the structure of HUD. I believe that commission was put in place by HUD. I may be wrong. Mr. City Attorney, can we find that out? I believe that's my reading on.
Through the chair to Member Oka, typically I don't do the research on the facts. I take the facts as they're provided to me and analyze them. So I'm probably not going to be doing the research on that. The parties can present the facts to me doing their own research.
Okay.
Assuming that you're correct, that would make a difference, I think, in the analysis. But
Yes.
but I don't know the facts.
Okay.
I have a question. Do you guys know the answer to that question? And can you say your name, please?
Rosemarie Dennis, San Francisco Housing Authority.
Hi.
The National Housing Act established the ability for local municipalities throughout the United States to have housing authorities. Our funding is fully through the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. There are some documents, specifically the bylaws of the commission. The mayor appoints all 7 commissioners. That's the extent of the involvement of the city in that regard. We do have bylaws that state this, and I can send them to your clerk or your commission secretary for you to review. The bylaws and the governing document from 1938, which was signed by Mayor Rossi at the time. I can send those in PDF, and you can see them for yourself. In the case of immediate disclosure requests, because they're connected to the Sunshine Ordinance.
Okay.
Can the complainant speak, please?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you were saying, but if you hold on 1 second, the respondent is answering. Can you hear? Is that what you were saying? You couldn't hear?
No, I
Oh, okay, hold on 1 moment, and I'll definitely let you speak.
Disclosure.
Do you guys have anything else you want to say to this? Are you? Okay.
Respondents are not opposed to
Use the mic.
briefing.
Can you speak in the mic
I'm
because she
sorry.
can't hear?
I'm sorry. Respondents are not opposed to briefing the issue, provided we're given a reasonable time to provide a briefing in writing.
Okay.
So.
Member Pilpel?
So 2 things. So now I need to disclose under 3.216 of the Campaign and Governmental Conduct Code that I know Ms. Dennis, who just spoke for the Housing Authority, but I don't believe that I am biased in the matter and can continue to process it without any preconceived outcome. So that needs to be reflected in the record. We should hear from the anonymous complainant, and I am happy to support Member Washburn in a continuance to the call of the chair to allow the parties to brief, whatever, and for this to come back to
Absolutely.
us with more members present.
And then we'll need to rescind whoever made the motion.
No, I think we're
Did it-
good with that action.
we?
I think we can still continue the matter.
Okay. Anonymous?
Has anyone read the letter from the regional director, the person who is under the Secretary of HUD?
Yes.
From Ophia Bass?
We all have it in front of us and have all read it.
Now, in the third paragraph, it states what you are talking about, where she says that money comes from HUD, but the commissioners are governed by the locally appointed process, and they are under the state law, and this includes local and state policies. You have two letters in your possession from HUD on this issue in Region 9, which they are under in terms of funding. And I think that it is ridiculous that I'm being denied due process and you're dancing around this issue, because if the regional director says that it is governed by the locally appointed Board of Commissioners who are appointed by the mayor, and this request was made to the commissioners, you are denying me due process, and this is a matter of record here.
Can I respond?
Are you finished?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, Counsel, there's no foundation for any of the opinions cited in this HUD letter. We don't know the background and the knowledge of the person who wrote the letter, but we are dealing with, I don't want to call it a hybrid situation. It's more of a multifaceted situation where you have state law involved with the housing authority law. With regard to the formation, you have a component where the entity is funded from federal funds supervised by HUD, and you have provisions for the mayor to appoint. But that's the nature of the beast. But with regard to the specific issue here, I believe that the entity just is not covered by this particular ordinance. But as I said, given a reasonable time to brief it, because it's an important issue to the Housing Authority as well as the Sunshine Task Force, we would be glad to provide. I would just ask maybe if council would provide some guidance as to the particular issues you'd like briefed. We'll address that.
Thank you. Is Attorney Threed, would you be able to give the items that you would deem necessary in order to kind of help us with the jurisdiction issue?
Through the chair, to the parties, the issue that seems to still be before the commission is whether there's jurisdiction under 67.3D. So I would focus your attention on that section and whatever facts you think should be brought to bear on that. I'm not going to, spell out a roadmap for parties. And I mean no disrespect in that regard. It's just that, I'm here to accept all the things that come in and do my best to analyze the law.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
Chair. I would like specifically, when it comes to 67.3, I guess D7, small D7, that when it comes to that provision, why HUD is not subject to the Sunshine Ordinance.
HUD or the Housing Authority?
I'm sorry, excuse me, the Housing Authority, is not, because it clearly says any advisory board, commission, committee, or council created by federal, state, or local grant, which would be HUD, whose members are appointed by city officials, employees, or agents, then the add, date, and amended, et cetera, et cetera. So that is something I would want some further briefing on so that we can come to a resolution, as well as any briefing the complainant would like to give us regarding that as well. to the extent of your abilities.
Does that seem fair to you? Can
Oh,
you provide
absolutely.
that? So I am thinking that I would like to continue this until next month's meeting in April, and we will put this at the top of the agenda. Be like the first item.
I think I expressed earlier, I was supportive, if Member Washburn wants to make the motion to continue, I would support continuing it to the call of the chair so that you have discretion as to when to set it, if it's next month or thereafter.
Well,
I have let me ask you a quick question. So because there was a motion on the floor, we can supersede that with a motion now to continue this?
The motion was voted on and failed. The motion is no longer on the floor.
Right.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
So,
Member Washburn?
could I make a new motion? Is that in order? Okay.
Yes.
I move to continue this matter to our next full task force meeting.
Do I have a second?
All right, I'll second that. I just want to be sure that there's enough time both to brief and to analyze, which is why I was supportive of the call of the chair rather than next month, because I don't know if they're going to get through that, and I don't want to create the expectation that it's next month if it's not.
I'm informed that we might need more time. Could we set the actual hearing for the month after that and
In
work
May.
out some sort of schedule where the briefs are submitted ahead of
Yes.
time so that council and the board has a chance to review them and
Okay.
If you'd restate it for the call of the chair, then...
One moment. I think I want to hear what Attorney Threed had to say really fast.
Through the chair, I just wanted to provide some information. I'm likely going to be out of the office for 2 weeks just before the next monthly meeting, and I've communicated that to the chair and to the administrator. We're going to get the complaint agenda to me early so I can complete analysis of these things. But the import of that information is that if we were going to do it for the April meeting, I would need to have this briefing probably the week of the 18th. March.
Okay.
That would
So
be
I think
about 2 weeks from
that's
now.
2 weeks from now. So I think what we've decided is that we will have this for the May meeting. Is that
Yes.
for Washburn? Okay. So and that works to get the documentation, and we'll.
Yeah. What day? What's the date of the May meeting?
It's the first Wednesday in May. So
Okay.
that May.
And how much in advance would you prefer that the documents are submitted for review?
I mean, we'd love to get them as 2 weeks in advance. So.
Or as soon as
middle of
possible.
Yeah, as soon as possible.
Don't, yeah.
Yeah, as soon as possible. But, I mean, we would still like to have it definitely by the 2 weeks before the meeting.
Sure.
So if we can get it 3 weeks before or.
Well, I mean, not to. I think you need it before.
He just said he needs 2 weeks in advance.
2 weeks in advance.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. So.
We'd prefer a date certain so that we.
That you can get the materials
Right.
to us?
Yes.
Okay, so then so in that case, then I'd like to get the materials, all the materials for, where's my calendar?
April 17th.
It's April 17th? Okay. So is it possible, just so we won't have any problems, to get it then, hold on one second. So April 17th is a Wednesday. Could you possibly get it to us by April 12th, considering today is March 6th? Is that doable? So we can get it by that Friday, by end of day?
Sure, it's doable.
Okay.
How would you like us to serve anonymous? Would you like
Well,
us to serve a copy to the
Clerk
board?
here, and she will disseminate that information to Anonymous as
All
well.
right, sure.
Okay? It's Friday, April 12th. So does that works? Anonymous, are you hearing all this?
We'll give it to them and they'll.
Yes.
Okay, great. So we will have the documentation
She has stuff, that's all.
by April 12th from the respondent. If you have any more documentation you want to provide, if you could get it to us by that date as well, and then we can disseminate it to the respondent, that would be great. And then we will continue this to the May, May 1st meeting.
Also, I did hear that. Also, for the sake of time, I am going to have to withdraw the complaint for 12040 at this moment. I apologize to everyone, but I'm withdrawing the complaint from Anonymous versus Rent Board.
She was going to come. I can't. Is that?
Can we deal with this thing first and then?
Okay, so if you're good with that, then did you make your motion?
No, I'm not good with it. I'm not good with it at all.
Well, if you're good with the dates that have been agreed upon, I don't mean you're good with it, but
I disagree with it. I'll send you a letter about that. I'm just stating that for the sake of time, I am not able to. I'm withdrawing the complaint from the San Francisco Rent Board on number 12040. Thank you. Thank you all. Goodbye.
One additional point before. Too late. Did she hang up?
Yeah, she hung up.
Okay.
So, but we'll still listen.
I would just like to be served with any documents that the complainant is filing on the same date.
Absolutely. So Madam Clerk will kind of be like and she'll make sure you get any documents, and then we'll make sure she gets the documents that you provide.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay.
So wait a minute. There's a motion, so we need to vote on this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I have the motion, please? Did we make the motion?
You want to restate the motion?
Okay. The motion is to continue this matter till the May regular task force meeting.
Is there a second?
There was I seconded it.
Great.
And I think that was with the understanding the materials are due Friday, April 12th. So we'll be
Is there any public comment on this? If not, I'd like to take a roll call vote. You can sit. You don't have to stay.
Oh, okay.
Member Washburn?
Aye.
Washburn, aye. Pilpel?
Aye.
Pilpel, aye. Sims?
Aye.
Sims, aye. Oka?
Aye.
Oka, aye. Fisher?
Aye.
Fisher, aye. Chair Grant?
Aye.
You have 6 ayes.
Great. Thank you. Member Neese, come back. Great.
Welcome back, Member Nee.
So, to the point that Anonymous just, what did she withdrew her file number 12040.
Did you withdraw it, or did you want
She
to put
withdrew
it
it.
off?
Did she say she withdrew it? Okay, she withdrew it. Great. So let's go to the next item, which is item number 5.
Item number 5.
Can we thank Mr. Collins for hanging out and waiting for item 6 to be called?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
He was here. And
Would you like to make a comment?
Come on up.
I'm sorry. And I apologize. I know this is the second
Come on
time
up.
you did.
Talk to us.
I am Robert Collins, Deputy Director with the Rent Board, and well, we certainly have no objection if that's the process for withdrawing the complaint. And
Yes.
so I don't know if you have to make a motion or anything, but
No, well, she withdrew it, so I think we're just
very good.
straight.
Good evening, then.
Good evening.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
she could still refile and
Yeah, she could refile. So, yes, but for now, she withdrew the motion. Thank you for attending. Madam Clerk?
Item number 5, 12034, continued hearing on complaint filed by Anonymous against Debbie Brubaker, Film Commissioner, for allegedly not providing records of written determination on projects employed and emails forwarding lists of possible employees to studios or producers for projects.
Great. I don't think that there was any contesting of jurisdiction. No.
Can I, though, state on the record that although I was not at the last 2 hearings and I did not listen to the tape, I did review the materials and I believe I'm familiar with the matter. I think I get it. So
Awesome.
Thank you.
maybe I don't, but we'll see.
Will Cliff, for the complainant, Cliff, you have, hello, you can come up. You have 5 minutes to
Where we're at.
tell us your.
Well, hi. Thank you again for continuing it. It's been a strange process. My mother had a congestive heart failure, and all of you all knew about it, pneumonia, 93 years old, but if you saw her right now, you would think I was a compulsive liar. She's kicking back and as great as ever.
Good.
So thank you for continuing it. And I wish I had that courtesy and stuff that I've been put through by the film office and Miss Debbie Brubaker. And before I get into that, there were, I don't know, approximately 300 emails of sort that they sent through. And God bless Andrea, I've talked to her a lot about procedural things and what I should do. I hope this
Can I
doesn't
interrupt
go...
you 1 second? Yeah. But so you've gotten 300 emails from the office
Is that the right
film
number?
around
Yeah,
that?
approximately.
Okay.
Approximately that number.
Okay.
So I hope this doesn't go against me. It's more procedural. But what I did was I've provided for the commission. I had them all printed out, so they're here if you have any questions. And in the spirit of condensing this whole deal, I've done what I've called like 30 or 40 that I'd like to go through tonight, and I've highlighted them and get right to them. Sure.
Say it again?
They're all your emails. You have a copy. They're all your emails.
Yeah. You can take this one.
She could also, you know what? The box of her emails are all her. Every
It's
one of these
fine.
are their emails.
Just
Cool.
take
That's
it.
cool.
Yeah, so she has them, so everyone has them.
I'm sorry. I thought this was my time.
Cliff?
Yes.
So we're going to go by that. We're gonna
Okay.
go by
Please.
that, right?
Please. Oh,
Okay.
please.
I just want to be clear. Yes, so let's start
can I
now.
see all the things she's going to present now? This is kind of goofy out of procedure. I'm trying to make my
I think
presentation.
she's presented you everything that she has nothing to present anymore, right? Any more
You're not going to
documentation
present anything
tonight?
tonight. New.
No, I have
Okay.
comments.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so are these.
So you have your
All right,
5
anyways.
minutes. Yeah, let's go. Let's
Try
do
and-
this.
Let's go. There were a vast amount, and the first thing is I try to condense them into the things that pertain to the latitude that you gave me last time, as this is a continuance, and I will try to be very focused on those matters. To start off with, and I'm not an attorney, I don't play one on television, first time I've ever done anything like this in my life. I have been bullied by Susanna Robbins' office and the film commissioner Brubaker, whether she's here tonight. I've been harassed. I've been called a nut job. We have to show him that he stands alone. A myriad of lies. This is what I've been called by them. Let's fix his wagon. He's an idiot. He's angry, an unstable person. I'm a misogynist. I'm not qualified to work in San Francisco. These are all in your first packet of the emails that you got. These are on the first packet, I'm sorry. On my list of 30, I'll hold them up and you guys can see it. These are what I just referred to. So the one is one is an email that Debbie Brubaker put out from, quote, film commissioner that says it's a myriad of lies. And Cliff is a nut job. I don't know him. Well, whether she likes it or not, I've known her for 9 years. We're in the same union. We sit across the table from each other. We sure don't go to dinner. Accuser man is begged off. That was in reference to me going home to my mother's bedside. And Andrea, the commissioner, Kit, everybody was notified 7 days before. I emailed Susanna before, and they all said they didn't get any information on this. This next email here is Debbie Brubaker, who says, and I quote, it's a committee. There's no judge. Just the people be enough to send the message. It's not about the Sunshine Ordinance. It's as to Cliff should stand alone. This is just to come here to talk to you guys. And I don't know the sites, but this is morally corrupt. I emailed Susanna 4 times and said, whatever we have going on between us, will you please address this? I asked the city attorney's office as well, will you please stop the bullying and the harassing that I've been getting in print and on social media? Then we go to the next page here, and it's regarding, she resigns, letters from Ms. Brubaker on resigning, but she's resigning because, quote, me, the crazy guy, he has deep pockets, I'm going to fix his wagon. I CC'd Susanna in, I CC'd you folks in by the proper date earlier in the week. He tells nothing but lies. Hey, I just wanted to get the emails. This is the first time I'm speaking in front of you guys. You've continued it. It's taken me a year. The first time Susanna said there were none. Send me one email back, one, and we have that tonight. And last but least, on her stationery, and I have that for later. Last but least, Debbie concludes the letter to the mayor and to the city attorney's office that an angry, unstable person who's made these charges, with every time he speaks, it's a new lie. He's a little misogynist with a trust fund, no work, no time, no angry. Anyways, you guys have this something needs to be done, whether it's the Ethics Committee, I don't know all your statutes, somebody needs to address that. If somebody just wants to come here and talk to you guys, and again, this is the first hearing because it was postponed, and the other one was, we started and stopped, whatever. So this is now the hearing that you don't have to go through. And I charged Suzanne as well. She's here. She's gotten the copies of these emails. I've sent her copies. I sent them to Andrea and to the Task Commission that this behavior of bullying and harassment should never been played. So specifically tonight, Debbie Brubaker's resume, we don't care. So I asked about lists specifically, and I believe it was Commissioner Sims who said, what's with the list? What are you trying to say, Cliff? Could you clarify it? Well, what's with the list is, a list means just that. So if 3 people get a job, that means 30 others didn't, or didn't know about it. And that's not the way we've ever worked in San Francisco or in any commission, or let alone a city agency. So what I pulled out of here quickly is Susanna's, Susanna's responses per the last request of lists. Here's one list. Somebody asked for a location manager. I'm looking at this, and you have all the emails. I'm looking at this one. It starts out, Mission Street, San Francisco. And she writes, I can give you names and numbers of people who want to work with. If we need B-roll for San Francisco, we have an easy permit. You might want to consider some of these people, the 3. Well, what about the other 50 location managers in town? So this is preferential that's not available to other
Speaker's
people.
time has expired.
Okay.
Do you want to sum up one thing? Yeah, that's what I was.
No, it's kind of tough, and I adhere to the rule. I'll be happy to step down and keep going. A lot of that time was spent trying to bring you all up to date what was going on, so whatever you'd like me to do.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You're going to have time after
Okay,
you hear
thank
from
you.
Suzanne. Yeah, and you can come back up.
And we may have questions.
And we'll have questions as well.
Okay,
so,
thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, let me get a little organized here. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you. Okay. Susanna? Okay.
Excuse me, facts and evidence.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. If there's anyone here to present any more facts and evidence on your behalf, I can't see. No, then, Susanna, you two are given 5 minutes.
Okay. Thank you for having me speak today. As you know, Debbie Brubaker resigned from being a commissioner last week, and I'm here on behalf of the Film Commission to respond to the complainant.
Get closer to the mic?
I'm sorry. Hey, you can't hear me? Sorry.
No.
Sorry about that.
That's better.
So, am I responding to what he just said?
You
or the
have
initial-
5 minutes to tell us about your case and what,
Okay.
And particularly in the complaint that he has. So did you provide him with the information that he's requested?
Yes.
That's really where we are going.
My understanding is that Mr. Roseman asked for the IT department to collect correspondence between Ms. Brubaker and myself, and we provided Mr. Roseman with all the documents the IT department gave to the film office and made limited redactions in consultation with the city attorney's office. Those were made to personal email addresses, phone numbers, and one email that we did not include of Ms. Brubaker's related to legal questions other than sunshine and ethics questions. Regarding permit applications, we're dedicated to ensuring that there's an easy and transparent process to getting a permit in San Francisco. It's a really simple form to complete, and all applications are subject to the same review and requirements. It's as easy as getting a driver's license. Really, there's no discretionary findings in getting a permit. It's if you meet the requirements that are set out on our website, we give you a permit. So in response to just what Cliff was saying about, to my knowledge, I have one email from him complaining just recently about Debbie's behavior towards him, and I would like to clarify that as executive director of the film office, I report to the commission. I am not in control of the commissioners and what they say and who they say it to. So they are technically my I don't know if you'd say they're my bosses, but I report to them. I don't have control over them. So, but we have supplied everything, to my knowledge, that we have available. I know that he still believes there are other emails out there between us, but in his last letter to the task force, he mentioned some about permits that he thinks there should be some email exchange on. And in the permits that he was talking about, or the productions On the Road, Misrepresentation, Seducing Charlie Baker, Floristar, Love Danny, and AARP, only one of those took out a permit with us. That was On the Road. And that was actually taken out by their location manager, Felix Gem. I made a copy for you all so you can see that he is the person who is contacting our office regarding permits. If you'd like, you can have that. The rest of the productions that were mentioned in this last response are all productions that did not take out permits with the San Francisco Film Commission, either because they were probably shot on private property where we don't require permits. And one of them was actually shot in 2009, and that was prior to Ms. Brubaker becoming a commissioner. It was actually released in 2010, Charlie Baker film, but it was shot in 2009. Anyway, I just feel like we have responded to his requests, and it's my understanding that the Sunshine Task Force is about making sure that the offices are being open and transparent with public meetings and documents that are requested, and I feel that we've met that request. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to open it up, hold on one second, Cliff, to the task force members. I'm sure there's some questions. Oh, I'm sorry, was there anyone here to support? I don't see, but is there anyone here to support Ms. Robbins and the Film Commission? If not, with any more facts or evidence?
Excuse me, is there going to be public comment?
Yes, there will be after. Thank you. I would like to open up to the task force members. Member Sims.
I guess. Ms. Robbins, yeah. Can you come up? So exactly how many emails do you think you turned over to the complainant? Do you have an approximate
They're around
number?
300. I'm not certain.
So around 300.
Yeah.
So that is correct.
Yeah.
And to the best of your knowledge, were all the emails that he requested for in his records request sent to him?
Everything that the IT department pulled.
Besides the stuff that was...
Yes, basically what we did was the IT department sent me a PDF of all of the emails that were between Ms. Brubaker and myself.
Mm-hmm.
And basically we just went through them to redact the private email addresses and phone numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And the one communication that the city attorney thought was privileged, client-attorney privilege.
And I don't see any complaint regarding what you redacted or the attorney-client privilege removal, just that you didn't, essentially, that there was more. Is there more?
There is no more. And I know that he believes there's more, and he thinks there should be some in 2010, but according to the to the IT department, they've pulled up everything that there is. And we also explained that in 2010, number one, I didn't start until September of 2010, so there wouldn't have been emails between us prior to that. And also, my understanding was that Ms. Brubaker had an ill family member who actually passed away, and I don't think that she worked that much, probably from September to January. But there are no other emails there. There really are not. We have provided him everything that we could.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Member Pilpel?
Okay, so to both parties, I don't see the, okay. Let me just tell you what I am interested in and what I'm not interested in this matter. I'm not particularly interested in the operations of the film office or the film community and line producers and all of that madness. I am not particularly concerned with the conduct of the commissioner as it relates to the statement of incompatible activities. I did read the article in Monday's Examiner where I believe she was roughly quoted as saying, now that I've resigned, it's all done. I'm not agreeing with that statement. I'm not disagreeing with it publicly, but I'm not agreeing with it to the extent that she has obligations during her term of service. She may have other people to answer to and other things to deal with. What I am interested in is the request of presumably the anonymous person and the film office's response with regard to the public records. I think that's the issue that hopefully we're concerned about. In going through the packet materials, I see the complaint from the anonymous person and I see a couple of responses from the film office. I didn't see the underlying request from the complainant to the film office, which presumably occurred prior to August 8th of 2012, and the film office's initial response, which again was presumably prior to August of 2012. And so I'm trying to discern from that what was requested, what was provided, and whether the information was complete, timely provided, or not, because that helps me in determining whether there was a violation. Maybe others have moved on to other places on this. I don't know, but that's where I am coming from on this. And I understand that there was a subsequent, it sounds like there was a subsequent release of email after a further review. Maybe I'm confused about that.
Initially, he asked he was asking for lists and emails from Commissioner Brubaker. Do you want to clarify what you asked for initially? Because
microphone, please. Microphone, please.
Excuse me. May we share? It's fine with me. It's okay. Actually,
you want to answer first, and then we'll go back to Ms. Robbins?
Sure. On the dates, it wasn't. I don't think it was anything Commissioner. I don't believe it was anything before August that was with us. I mean, I refer in my complaint things prior to, from 2010 when she took office, Ms. Brubaker. But communication with Susanna and I, good, bad, or indifferent. I think my request, and she said no, there was only one or something, but it wasn't until like September or something later.
Okay, so let me just be clear on the timing. The complaint
my original complaint, is that the question?
Hold on a second. The complaint that's before this task force was filed on August 4th and perhaps received on August 6th of 2012. Presumably that refers to a request or a potential failure of the office to respond to a prior public records request. Am I to interpret otherwise that the complaint that you filed was really the initial request for records that came to us and was not initially directed to the film office?
My understanding was Mr. Roseman went directly to the task force.
Okay.
Did not ask me.
Okay.
And the task force was trying to prevent having, this type of hearing.
Prevent all of us
and
from being
so
here
asked us to provide the documents.
Okay.
I provided what I had, which was basically nothing that related to the way he was asking for it. I responded to what he asked for. Now, subsequently, he asked for all the records between Ms. Brubaker and myself. And we submitted every record because he asked for the IT department to pull them. I had no control over that. They were
Okay.
pulled by IT and they were turned over.
Okay. Remember, I was going to quickly say, remember people, I don't know if you remember that initially when they came here.
I wasn't here, that's
Okay.
why. Okay.
Just to kind of give you a quick synopsis of my recollection is that he asked for the list that Commissioner Brubaker was giving out of people to work with.
Okay.
We determined that either there was no list or that the list wasn't available. What he needed to really ask for was all the records between the commission and her,
Yeah.
which could include this famous list. Then that was the record request that I think this complaint is about, that what was provided to him was not sufficient.
Okay, so then...
No, that helps. That sounds right.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm catching up to speed here. So then, to the complainant, are you alleging at this time that what was provided was untimely or incomplete?
Oh, absolutely untimely, yeah,
Okay.
because I'm not...
That's fine.
Just so you know, the little confusion on my part, and that's why I looked to Susanna, I think it was August or September. I don't think that's an issue of when we started.
Isn't it?
But when I asked Susanna for it, and she recalled, I agree, I stipulate to that to keep moving here. I was given one email from her on, which was a list. She suggested 3 people for a job. In fact, it was a list. And at the end of it, she says, I recommend you hire these people. I was given one, and I was given a huge list of all the projects done in San Francisco, not that I cared for, and that's not what I asked for. I came back to the committee, but I've been on this since last April working on this, and I haven't gotten anything until, which is very important, I have to look to Andrea. I believe, as far as timely, that I got all these emails the night before at 5 o'clock delivered to your office before the last hearing.
So in answer to my question, you said that you do not believe that the material was timely?
Correct.
And you don't believe it was complete?
No, correct. And the second part of complete.
Okay, I got that. And do you believe, and I'll go to Ms. Robinson in a second, do you believe that there is additional information responsive to your request?
Absolutely.
Give me a second here. That has yet to be provided?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So to Ms. Robbins, can you speak to the timeliness? Hold on.
Okay, to the timeliness. Yes,
Hold on.
sorry.
Timeliness, completeness, and if there's anything else out there. That's what I'm trying to get at. Thank you.
We have met every timetable. We were told by which date we had to gather the material. You know, it's a lot of material he's asking for. It's a lot to go through. He was given everything on time. He wasn't given it early because, you know, I'm running a film office that has 3 people in it. We're up 67% since last year. We are working our tails off. So, you know, I'd love to be able to devote 100% of my time to this, but to be honest, I'm also trying to keep the film community going. We provided everything on time. We provided all the emails he requested. And frankly, there are no more emails between Ms. Brubaker and myself. I can't conjure something out of thin air. There is no more.
Thank you.
Okay, that answers my questions. Thank
Great. Do any of the other task members have any questions? I think we've heard, one moment, I think we've heard enough. Do you have any more questions, anyone? If not, I'm going to call for final comments.
Respondent.
From the respondent first, which would be you. So if you have anything final that you want us to take into consideration, probably said it.
I just want to say that our office is open and transparent, and we are complying with the requests from Cliff Roseman and as required by the Sunshine Ordinance, and we continue to do that. And if you ask us to provide anything else, we will do so in a timely manner.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Will the complainant, you have offer your rebuttal? your conclusion, and you actually have 3 minutes to do this.
Okay.
So,
Is this my final?
yeah, it's your final,
Okay.
unless there's some questions.
So you all have in copy in front of you the permits. We just heard that permits are not selective and anybody could walk in. That's not, in fact, the truth. It's here. It's awkward. You being a commissioner, you have a copy of this, of getting involved in the permits. I think this is putting us in a weird place. The next page, Deborah, in general, you can't do this. This is Susanna reprimanding the commissioner, Brubaker, not to pull permits. I'm a location permits on some of these. She admits to the city attorney's office that she doesn't do it. She admits to the city's attorney office later the afternoon, I have in the past filed permits. Hell, I'd love to walk into the permit office to get my own permits. Susanna's right. It is a very quick streamline. She does a hell of a job and very understaffed. But I'd like to have that. I don't with Debbie Brubaker. And Debbie didn't do this by herself. This was permitted by Susanna. Okay, the emails. The reason I don't think there's all the emails in response to the other commissioner here is she was very careful that the IT department sent them to her and there was redacted. You guys don't want to read through 300, but if you read through any of them at random, it says, hey, you want to go to the beach tomorrow, and then it's blank. There are such gaps that you could drive a 40-foot truck through these. And I know as a filmmaker, if I want to get a permit, I have to get in touch with the film office and let Susanna know as a professional in courtesy. And all those emails aren't there. It's just physically impossible because part of the process is of getting the permits. And I wish I had that luxury of doing it. Open and transparency, I don't know. I'm still saying there's still emails out there, not because of hocus pocus, because she went to the IT department. The city attorney, I spoke with the city attorney's office, not Andrea, I can think of her name. I've got it here. And she said there were many that they took out because of attorney-client privilege. At the film office?
No, she did not. She said there was one.
I have the letter. I can pull it out and present to you. Matter of fact, it's in your packets. And she says this was only one. The other ones I'm not going to talk, and they are, in fact, attorney-client privilege. What's the attorney-client privilege in a film office of transparency? And I don't think it's very timely that I get them the night before. She didn't know. The night before the hearing that I got them on that respect. Last but least, as I conclude here, there's a 4 or 5 page thing back and forth with Susanna responding to different things here. What about Ms. Brubaker not having time or was sick? God bless her. My heart goes out to her, the death and her family. But where she says, she barely worked that year. Per her resume that you have a copy, I supplied it. On that year, she did On the Road, a movie, Misrepresentation, Seducing Charlie Brown. She did 5 projects. So I appreciate whatever she did or not do with her family. That's her business, and blessings go with her. But that's not exactly not working, staying home doing 5 major projects.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you guys just do something about the moral thing. I don't know. I can't quote the statutes, but that should be ethics or passed on to the supervisor.
Unfortunately, just so you're clear, our jurisdiction is on what are the public records that you asked for. Did you or did you not get them? And if you got them, that's all we can do. You might have to go to another commission. But if you got the paperwork and you got the public transparency from the Film Commission, then, our work is done.
Right, but I still don't feel
I see. That you've gotten all the emails. You believe there's still more emails. And she's, per Suzanne, she's saying that the IT has given out all emails. So at this time, I think I would like to know if there is any, did we put a motion on the floor? Okay. Then I'd like to see if anyone would like to make a motion to find the Film Commission in violation of the Sunshine Ordinance. Is there a motion? After the motion, one moment, please.
I'm not making a motion. I'm just asking my fellow members because I'm behind and I'm confused on this. What can people help? Explain what's going on here because I don't know.
Well, I can try to explain from what I have viewed today and over the last
3 months.
3 months. It appears like the complainant believes that some illegality, unethical conduct occurred with a film commissioner, and he has done his best to try to gain knowledge, information, communications regarding that. Now, the Film Commission has, in my view, responded appropriately in the fact that they have produced all emails regarding communications between Debbie Brubaker and the Suzanne. So now I don't have. Now he has. The complainant has said that there are certain emails that he feels that are either lacking or that there might have been some redaction or there's not missing thread, but I don't have that before me. Like, I just don't have examples of those, exemplars of those. If I had some exemplars of those, I maybe could conjure up something, but at least from my perspective, I don't see any violation of the Sunshine Ordinance. I don't see any way. I mean, I think, sir, you have some emails. You have interpreted them however you would like to interpret them, and I think you should use them to forward your calls. But I think we're limited in how far we can help you forward your calls.
I think that's pretty much a good summation.
Works for me.
Great. In that case, is there a motion? Does anyone want to put a motion on the floor, a violation of the Sunshine Ordinance? Oh.
Public comment.
Okay. If not, then I would like to open the floor to public comment.
Yes, my name is Charlotte Lawn, and there's a major problem with this film commission.
Excuse me, could you pull the microphone closer, please?
Yes.
Thanks.
There's a major problem with this film commission because why is the film commission in the email with Brubaker and Susanna talking about how to lower the cost of union members? I'm a member of Local 16. I call her office and Lauren tells me there's no productions in town. I read this stuff and read that Debbie Brubaker's just been wrapping up on Red Widow that's been shooting here. I called in November, I called in December, I called in January, and I called in February. And she told me there's no productions in town. She stood here and just told you there's 65% more shooting right now. And for a commissioner to say that he doesn't care about these lists, those lists affect me because I'm not being referred out to work. I'm being blackballed, and this film commission is a major thing. It starts back with Lorraine Rominger when she was the film commissioner. P.J. Johnston went to the Human Rights Commission. He knew nothing what was supposed to be done in the film commission. It's gone up. Stephanie Coyote, and it's ridiculous what's going on with this film commission. They get information on jobs. I wish I got that information on jobs. It is not public. And she says that they refer people to the newsreel, which is a book of the industry. Well, you have to pay for that. If you are not working, you cannot go out and pay for advertisement. You got to worry about other things. And for her to stand here and say, I've got a letter here from her in 2011 telling me that she has no lists. And now he got lists from her. Now, when are they going to be truthful? When is the city going to stop protecting these people? And for them to say in this email, I think the next step is to sit down with FX, which was my secretary-treasurer of Local 16 at the time, and the business agent, and the Teamsters, and ask them what they're willing to do in cutting costs. My God, I pay a dues. There's a reason why we pay a dues, to get a certain amount of money, not for the film commission to cut deals for the productions. That's insulting. I thought this was a labor union city. Obviously, they're referring non-union people out.
Just let her finish, and then, I'm sorry.
I mean, this affects my livelihood, and I haven't been able to work. FX has been, he settled in 2008, $500,000 for a sexual discrimination suit, and that wasn't the only one. I mean, Local 16 and the Film Commission and the film commissioners are all in cahoots, and these emails show it.
Great, thank you. Is there any more public comment? If not, then I'd like to take a, oh, there was no
There is no
motion.
vote.
That's right. So there is no, we have found that there is no violation of the Sunshine Ordinance, so the matter is concluded. There was no motion, so the matter is concluded.
Well, actually, go ahead. Jerry, hold up.
One moment.
Through the chair, just to clarify, when the task force doesn't have a motion, there's no finding one way or the other.
Okay.
We have a motion.
So the matter's concluded. So there's nothing, we did not find a motion. There was no one took a motion, so the matter's concluded.
And that's fine. And if I could just clarify to the member of the public, our jurisdiction is only related to public records, so please try not to misinterpret my comments.
Exactly.
I do understand that, but in the letter that I told you about, she does say, she says that she doesn't have any list, and that's an outright lie. Because
I understand.
She gave him the list. Now, what
So
kind of
you should-
reputation is that as a city?
So-
when she outright lies to the public.
Okay. There are
I
other
mean,
avenues.
That's discriminatory practices that the city's supporting.
Great, thank you.
You have nothing to say about ethics, so it's an ethics.
No, you would have to file directly. We don't have anything to do with all the things, whether we agree or disagree with what was said, how Debbie Brubaker treated you, any of all that, our personal opinions. We can't affect any of that. All we have to make sure is that you got the public records, and you can take that information and go now to another commission if you feel that you've been wrong.
I was going to say, and if you asked for more records or for more items or for a greater
Exactly.
expanded
To your
thing, we will
point.
be more than welcome to help you.
You should put,
You've all been great.
thank you. And to you,
Well, you may.
No, but thank you, and thank you for your time.
You may wish to talk to the Ethics Commission about your concerns. I'll just say that, okay?
and to you, if you want lists, please submit a complaint through our office.
I did.
You have a complaint on the record now?
Well, no, because
So, yeah.
because Chris really messed up my whole. He postponed it, and then I never got it.
You need to file a complaint as Cliff did, if that's what you want, some more records. Thank you very much, all of you. We appreciate it. Okay. What's the item?
See, we're on to the minutes.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
oh, that.
Okay.
Does Mr. Henderson need anything from
Madam
us?
Clerk, what's next on the agenda?
No, yeah.
Do you have some public comment in the back there?
No.
Please step up to the microphone and speak into the microphone, sir.
Can you go to the next item?
Oh,
Paul?
already?
Let's
Excuse me,
also
general
remind-
public comment was,
Yes.
that was concluded in item 4.
Yes. Thank you.
I'm sorry, sir. Public
Member-
comment is over.
Member Sims just asked me, items 7 and 8 were previously continued.
Oh, yeah, you were late.
Okay.
Items 7 and 8 were continued and agreed to by both parties.
Oh, excellent.
So we are now to the minutes,
We made that decision.
which is number 9. So it's
Number
the-
9, approval of minutes from the May 2nd, 2012 regular meeting.
So, Madam Clerk, did you get any additions or anything, changes from any of the task force members?
No, I have not.
Okay. Does anyone
so
have any?
perfect.
Let's try to get through this really fast. So, does anyone have any changes? Has anyone had a chance to look through the May minutes? I want to start with the May minutes. If you have any changes, just tell me that right now. May 2nd meeting.
Okay, so I started going through this. I wanted to get through the whole damn packet of all of it, and I can't get, in particular, I'm stuck on the votes. I can't get the votes to add up, and, however you characterize the comments and the whatever, if I can't get the votes to add up, I'm having a problem with that. So
Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm going to move to continue the various sets of minutes. I will recommit, as I think I got Member Need to agree to take a look as well. I want to get these minutes adopted, but I also want them to accurately represent what happened. And, I think we've got an obligation to do that on a timely basis. We also have an obligation to do it right and to get it right. So I'm kind of stuck with that, and unless the members want to do something else and just pass them or whatever, the whole body, but I would really like to get the minutes right.
Yeah, Member Nee, I'd like to hear from you.
Well, just for clarification, Member Pilpel, your intent is to move that we continue items 9 through 16, is that correct?
Yes, and again, I am recommitting to making amendments in the next month so that we can adopt minutes and get adopted minutes done.
But will you then agree to get your changes to Madam Clerk
In
prior
advance,
to the
yes.
meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
And
That's
to the
what I'd
extent
like.
that some of these things may require some further research, I'm limited on that, but
Okay, so we can do
I can
that.
get-
Member Oka?
I don't think it would be appropriate for me to vote on minutes of which I was not a member of this task force.
Okay.
I don't think it would be appropriate. So anything before November,
Can you do that?
I would not feel comfortable voting on.
Well, we only had, what do we have, May? Well, June and July, weren't they, did we dismiss one of those? I don't have it in front of me, but May, June, July. So you're saying you don't feel comfortable voting on May, June, July?
That's correct. I was
Okay.
not a member of this body.
Okay. How will that work, Attorney Threet? We just,
Through the chair, adoption of minutes is a procedural matter. It doesn't have to meet the requirements of
Got
the
it.
bylaw that was changed.
Okay.
So it shouldn't present a difficulty. If you have, I don't know the state of this, but if some of the minutes were for meetings that predated all of the new task force members, you might run into some issues, but otherwise I think you'll be fine.
okay.
Well,
Might want to hurry up and do that.
Yeah.
right, yeah, because we're all. I mean, for the May meeting, only 3 of the members of the task force were. I mean, the problem with that suggestion is that when a body is entirely reconstituted, which happens from time to time, they still have an obligation to adopt minutes. And unless you go to a rule of necessity analysis, someone needs to vote on minutes whether you were present at the meeting, a member of the body or not. If you're a member of the body at the time, my understanding is that you have an obligation to vote either with the belief that the minutes accurately reflect what occurred or not, absent a motion to excuse or recuse a member on a particular matter.
Well, I believe, Attorney Threet just said that since it is a procedural matter in this case, that we do have the option. He can kind of recuse himself from this vote, or not recuse himself from this vote.
Through the chair to members of the task force, what I was saying is that if there were such recusals, it would not present a problem because you don't have to meet the bylaw. It's a different question whether members are obliged to vote on this issue, and I don't know the answer to that. Presently, I can find out.
But you can recuse himself.
Madam Chair.
And it is time for me to leave.
Thank you for your service today. Bye-bye.
Madam Chair.
Member Nee?
Yes. I realize that it might be burdensome, given the number of sets of minutes we have here, 8 of them. However, the meetings in question are all, they were all audio recorded, and what I would respectfully suggest is each member look at the draft minutes, and if you have any doubts or questions on something, go back to that particular section, go back to that particular meeting, get the audio recording, listen to any section of the minutes of the recording, any part of the meeting where you think, where you have a question. And I realize it's a burdensome thing to do when you have that many sets of minutes involved, but we do need to move these minutes forward.
I agree.
And so, I think each of us does have a certain amount of responsibility toward that.
Yeah, and that's why I keep asking that we take a look at it prior to coming to the meeting, so if there are any changes, we can get them to Madam Clerk, and then we can move these forward, because this is, I'm already late on a lot of things, and I'm just kind of getting stuff together. So I really want these minutes approved. So I would really encourage us once again, as I did this last time, to try to provide at least we could have gotten through 2 of them. If we can say we're going to go through May and June, everyone take that initiative to look through, as Member Nee suggested, the minutes, listen to the audio if you have problems, numbers, and all that kind of stuff, and so we can move it along, because I hate to keep coming back to this. So now we're going to add March. We're just adding on to it. So I really want to get the next time May and June and July.
Through the chair to the members also, if you do have edits, please, whatever minutes you have edits or additions or revisions to, let me know so I can send you the Word document to make the revisions in that. You sending me hard copies with markups, I have to go back and forth, and it takes a lot of time.
Oh,
good.
You want marked revisions? Oh.
I said I do not.
What?
I do not.
Just a Word document.
So whatever minutes you have an issue or have edits with, let me know. I can send you the Word document.
Right, okay, so you've got it in Word, so we can do marked.
We can change it.
Okay.
Please send me the Word doc, and then do you want us to do
You just make change.
Exactly, track changes.
Cool.
Member Washburn?
Yeah, I just wanted to request, Andrea, I have written comments on all the minutes to date, so if you could send me all the doc files, I'm happy to.
I will do. Thank you.
Oh, great. Okay, this will move us along. Yes, Member Polbell.
I appreciate that. So just as an example, as I started in May, under item 1, members Snyder and Cawthon were noted absent, but they weren't listed as members at the top, so I was having trouble reconciling that. And on item 3, Ms. Salgado from Supervisor Yee's office.
Were you here in May? Okay.
Presented information. I believe she did not present information concerning the supervisor records report, which was the prior item, but she was there concerning the legislation, which was the subject of that thing.
Right.
So I was trying to clear that
noted all
up.
of those things.
Okay, so you got it.
Yes.
Okay,
We'll make change.
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
Thank you for. So do you need a motion on this?
Yeah, I need a motion to move items number 9 through
16.
Thank you. 16 to be continued to the next meeting.
So move.
Okay. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any public comment? No. Can this be, do I need to take a roll call vote on this? No. Without objection, this motion passes. Great. So let's just go really quickly through the reports, because we can do this really fast. Item number 17, Madam Chair, for the Education Outreach, Mr. Chair, Education Outreach and Training Committee meeting, you canceled it.
No, this meeting happened.
Oh, it did?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
If you weren't
Please
there,
give us a little, I'm not on that committee.
But let's see. Remember, we didn't have a clerk for it because we don't have staff, so we'll need to talk about that. And
Are you supposed to have a clerk?
Well, we didn't have a clerk assigned that night because under the prior arrangement, as was explained to me, we have staffing for the full task force and for the Compliance and Amendments Committee only, and that's the extent of the budget that was
from the prior
provided, right?
Yeah.
So to the extent that we want to
As we
request
grow.
something different, then we need to do that somehow, and we'll finagle that in a second.
That, yeah.
So at that meeting, we didn't have a clerk. I was instructed about how to tape the thing. One of our members agreed to take draft minutes, which occurred. I was there, member David, and the other David.
Okay.
You've got Nopel, David, Manette, and Oka.
Yes. So member Monet and member David were there. Member Oka was not there and indicated that he wasn't properly informed of the meeting, which we will ensure never happens again. So there was that. We discussed our work plan. That was the only item on the agenda, was discussing the work plan. We have notes. I made a list. I am intending to format that so that we have some intended topics to hit. That was prior to several of the items that were referred to the committee, so we have past minutes, we have some work items, and we've got some new things. This was after the police referral, so I know that we've got to get to the police department, we've got the planning department, we've got the arts commission, and now we've got the arts commission.
What is it that you have to do to them?
The referral.
We just-
Yes, we've got to
Referral, we just did.
review procedures and
So I just don't know what this looks like. Means you actively meet with them and sit down
yeah,
with them?
it's so in the case of those referrals, what I was intending to do was to have the complainant and the respondent appear, talk about the status of the complaint. We always have the option of bringing a matter back before the full task force, as the Compliance and Amendments Committee has, but more so, I think our role is to work with the department to hammer out whatever the problem was that gave rise to the complaint, try to fix the procedure, get some better stuff in place so that the circumstances don't give rise to that again. And further, to try to look at best practices around the city and encourage departments to use models that already exist and to do a better job when we've, gotten a referral. So give them, a bit of a kick and do what we can.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll vary depending on the circumstances. But, that's how I view it, and I think that's how the other members present and perhaps Member Oka views it, unless the task force wants to
No, I think
direct
that makes
otherwise.
perfect sense, and that's
Okay.
exactly
And I
the
intend to
vision.
bring that proposed work plan, once I've written it up and we've gotten, another view at it at the committee, back to the full task force. And we've talked about composition of the body. Do we need to do anything formal to seek staff? Because I think, particularly given the complaints that we've been referred.
Yeah, that's something that's doable. You
Okay.
didn't need it before, but
All right.
it's a case-by-case situation. So now, as you grow, and now we didn't have anything going on, so now you are going to have the Arts
got
Commission.
stuff.
So I can talk to Angela about it.
Okay.
So at this time, Member Washburn, you want to give us a summation of? Or
Unless anyone has anything further on EOT. All right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
No.
Thank you all very much.
January and February compliance meetings?
Right, so we met on, Compliance and Amendments met on January 15th for our regular meeting. We continued some minutes for several months. We had a hearing on the status of an order of determination of anonymous against the Planning Department. We voted to refer this matter back to the full task force. We heard that last month at the full task force meeting. Then in February, we actually adopted 3 sets of minutes, and we're up to date. And we heard, we had a hearing on the status of the order of determination of William Clark against Howard Lazar, which we referred here, and heard that tonight. So that's about it.
Great. Anybody have any questions for Member Washburn? Madam Clerk, you want to give us a quick update of your administrator's report?
I believe you each have a copy of the report. So the only thing I want to focus on is the mediation of complaints. I've been trying to, each complaint that is submitted to me, to mediate it first. There's been some success and some where the complainant feels that still the agency or department is in violation of maybe timeliness. So you have those in front of you on number 4.
And how many cases do we have outstanding? Can you give us a round?
Outstanding. I have to count.
Oh, okay. Ballpark?
Ballpark, maybe 15.
15 cases. We're not that. Yeah. Okay. That's all I need to know. Then, anyone have any questions for Madam Clerk or anything like that?
I do.
Go on.
So a couple of things. I've found, particularly in 2011, a couple of things that either seem wrong or a little inconsistent. So I'm going to talk to Ms. Osbury offline about that. In future reports, it looks like some of these columns are shaded, so they're probably, what do you call it, in color or something. Could I just ask that when we get it here that it's not shaded? Because in particular, I was looking up one of these items that's totally blacked, and so you can't read it.
Not a problem.
Anyway,
Is there,
not a
okay, you
problem.
can change that.
Okay. So that's on the complaints, and yes, 15. And also on the correspondence log, could we get the column with the date and time? Because it was hard to figure out on these emails. Yes, we know who it came from, who I presume who it was going to, and the title, but not the date. In the back of
Let me see. I don't have one. What are you asking for?
the date.
Okay, so the date.
Presumably these were emails.
Okay.
And I'm not sure, I was going to do the Ethics Commission on item 20, but I guess now might be a good time to ask about orders. So the...
What do you mean, ask what orders? I'm sorry.
Orders of determination. So since the task force was recomposed or appointed, there were not that many orders that we've made, but not all of them have issued. Are there still orders outstanding that have not issued, and for whatever reason, that are still in the queue?
The last three, there's one. So we have that's what I was saying, we've actually gotten up to date now. So there were 3 referrals that I completed, and then there's just one the one outstanding order from, I remember, from last time, but now we are up to date. So those should be posting, or when will those be in the public? Do those post? Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
So they should be up in the next
I'm working
week
with
or two.
IT, yeah.
Working IT.
So those will be
done.
there, and can they circulate to members of the task force?
They're online, so you can just pull them up.
But I'm not going to be able to find.
What do you mean you're
Can
not
we
going to be able to find them?
Can we just get a copy whenever it issues, however it issues? Can you email it and just leave me a copy? I would just like to see these orders rather when they happen. That's all. Is that hard?
Are you accessible?
There's no date that it's going to happen. I'm not going to say I'm doing it. So
as they issue.
So you're asking the clerk to submit another thing on her stuff to do, because she's having them posted online so that they are out there for you to pull up and look at. So that prior to, now we're caught up, I will have those done. We will make sure those are done prior to each meeting. So you can just pull them up to look at that information, because what you're asking is to do another thing.
Well, what we've done in the past, and it's varied, is that when orders issued between meetings, in some cases we've had them attached to the administrator's report. That's not a bad approach. So that might work, as because there aren't going to be that many.
Does that work for you? Yeah.
Okay.
That works, but because we don't know a specific date, and then
right,
you might be looking for them, and you're not online that much anyway.
Exactly.
So why don't we just attach them to the administrator's report at each meeting, if we have any that have been done, orders of determination and referrals. Yeah. Should we do the referrals? Yeah.
Yeah, and anything that's correspondence out.
Perfect. So anything that's come out of from Andrea, letters and correspondence, or anything that we've been said we were going to do. Are you guys cool? Is that good? Okay. Great. Okay.
I think I'm done with that, and then I have a thing.
Okay. So the next item is number 20. Oh, do you have something to say?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm just going to read that. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I can read it late. Announcements, comments, questions, and future agenda items. Does anyone have anything they want to put on? Member Nee?
Madam Chair, I just want to call attention to the latest issue of the Bay Guardian. This is their annual Freedom of Information issue. I want to thank Member Pilpel for calling it to my attention.
Cool.
There is a good deal here about sunshine in San Francisco. It's not very complimentary, but it's there, and I think it's worth all of our attention.
Oh, good. That just came out? That's the issue that just came out?
The current issue came out today. Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, so we can
It can
get
also
it.
be seen at sfbg.
Yes, sfbg.com. That's correct.
Okay, that's good to know then. Future agenda items, well, I was hoping we were going to get through some of these minutes tonight, so since we didn't, I'm going to hold off because I really do want to eventually get to the point of really taking a look at the bylaws. And I was thinking that it should go through your committee first and then bring it to the Rules Committee, and then bring it to the full task force and really make some, updated and the adjustments. And remember, PillPal had started a process of changing more process things on the bylaws. So I'd love for you to take a look at him or work with, he has it. You have a document, so you can just give him the document.
Madam
You haven't
Chair.
seen it? And then do you guys have it so we can all?
The bylaws?
Yeah, the member PillPal had made some suggestions for.
I'm not sure I've seen them.
Okay, and you
but
can offer your thoughts on it.
Do you want
I'd be
me
happy to do
resubmit
that.
it and have it be recirculated?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone needs, everyone, because member Oka wasn't here either. Yeah, so we all need it. Member Nee.
Yeah. With respect to the bylaws, I'd like to have a very serious look at the whole question of what constitutes a majority for passage of substantive motions. It's been a thorny one. And I think there are some questions that go beyond what the city attorney's office has told us. I believe there might actually be some case law that favors an interpretation as constituting a majority of those present. Also, I think it would be a good idea for us to raise the whole question with the Board of Supervisors about the ambiguities in the city charter, particularly Section 4.104B. I voted against the bylaws change that aroused the ire of the Board of Supervisors. At the same time, there were some legitimate concerns raised by members of the public on that whole question. When we have a bare quorum majority, a bare quorum president means unanimity is required. When we have fewer than all members, it means supermajority is required. And that's not necessarily in the interests of moving forward with sunshine, moving forward with justice for the people who have legitimate complaints. So I think, certainly we have to respect what the city attorney says, but the city attorney's word is not law. Mm-hmm. And I think this matter merits a very thorough look and evaluation.
Okay, thank you. Member Washburn?
I'd like to raise my voice in accord with Member Nee. I've consistently voted for having substantive matters passed by a majority of those present for the very reasons Member Nee cites. Whenever there's any ambiguity, I will vote in favor of more openness, more sunshine, and in favor of members of the public. I think the Sunshine Ordinance requires us to do that. So I think and given that the charter's ambiguous, mm-hmm. I think that this is an opportunity for us to really look at this issue more closely and clarify this for the whole city.
Yeah.
I think this would be some good that we could do.
So I think that's exactly where I wanted David Sims to kind of take the lead on that, because it does have a lot of ambiguities and things that come up, and we keep seeing it over and over again. So with the bylaws, so starting with that. And who's on the Rules Committee? You have a...
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're on it? Great. And then we can all participate. So for the next meeting, you'll give Madam Clerk so we can redistribute some of your suggestions, and you'll get that to David Sims.
And Chris.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll prepare that so that it goes to all members, but the matter will be heard at the Rules Committee, and you're going to consider the composition of the committees.
Yeah,
again,
I mean, it
as we
was
talked
suggested.
about.
We can
So,
talk
yeah,
about that, but I'd like
talk
to,
about
let's
that.
talk about
Okay.
that later. Okay, and
I want to talk about ethics.
so,
I believe Member Oka had his hand up.
oh, I'm sorry.
As the
Can you?
My question
Excuse me, microphone,
The
please.
microphone, I can't hear you. Thanks.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. You were ready to go.
I do need to get used to this here. All right.
What's new?
My question is on the makeup of this body is supposed to have 11 members, correct?
That's correct.
And somehow we are having problems filling 4 seats. And that bothers me because these are seats that agencies are supposed to recommend people to these seats. Why can't we get these agencies to recommend?
Madam Chair.
Because that seems to be the problem.
Yeah.
Why we can't fill these seats. And that really needs to happen. Otherwise, we're never going to get all our business done.
You're right. Member Nee, I think you have it.
Yes. What we have, pardon my French, is a pissing match between 3 organizations and the Board of Supervisors Rules Committee. In May of 2012, when the board appointed when the Rules Committee and then the board appointed the current task force members, what happened was there are actually nominations that have been made and are still those nominations are still in force. 2 of those nominations came from the Society of Professional Journalists, 1 from the League of Women Voters, 1 from New America Media. Each of those organizations submitted 1 name for each of the 4 seats. All right.
Right.
The Rules Committee asked that the organization submit multiple nominations for each of those 4 seats. This is the first time that the Rules Committee or anyone else on the board had ever made that particular request for multiple nominations per seat. The 3 organizations, SPJ, NAM, and LWV, have basically dug in their heels and said, we have submitted nominations, we have vetted, we have gone through a lot of time and effort to vet the candidates, to vet the applicants who came to us. We have put forward those names, those candidates whom we believe are the best suited to hold these seats. And believe us, it is not always easy to find candidates. People know that serving on the task force involves a lot of work. It's a volunteer position. The people on the task force have, in addition to their work on the task force, they have outside obligations such as for work and family. So that's where we stand. The Rules Committee is waiting for additional nominations. The 3 organizations have said, we have made all the we have put forth all the nominations we're going to give you. Please give them favorable consideration.
Okay.
They deserve appointment to the task force.
And before you came, Bruce, I actually drafted a letter because of that. Because when we were trying to get another member, I asked about the other members as well. So
Yes.
they are fully aware that we are trying to do something. Yes.
Yeah.
Member Oka?
But is it a requirement that the Rules Committee has put on these 3 positions?
4 positions.
That there has to be?
Yes, they do have to go before the Rules Committee. That is correct.
But
they do have to pass muster with the Rules Committee and then with the full board.
So the organizations cannot just submit 1.
They have done so.
That's what I'm asking.
They have already done so.
I know, but
But it's up to the Rules Committee to decide who they want to pick. It's, so Member Nee, Member Washburn have been holdovers, correct me, I'm right.
And Member Monet.
And Member Monet for years because, and we brought that up, which is, 7 months. Is it 7 months or is it years?
Yeah.
It's since,
Like a year, right?
I believe it's...
Going almost a year.
It's like a year, right?
Almost a year.
Yeah, so.
I think somebody should challenge their I think it's not proper for the Rules Committee to require multiple nominations, multiple candidates. If they want to do that, I guess they can, but I don't think it's ethical, and I don't think it's really part of the Rules Committee's requirements that more than one nomination be submitted for each position. So I think we should look into that. And I know I'm not going to make friends on the Board of Supervisors by saying that. But
That's what I was saying. This will be the third time we've brought that up because we did ask about that. Initially trying to get the whole board clear and free.
I was going to say, really quickly, not to interrupt you, but there's a new Rules Committee. Have we tried going to that Rules Committee or resubmitting? Obviously, those names are still there, but is there a process where those 3 entities can resubmit those 4 names to the new Rules Committee to hopefully get a favorable hearing? Because I don't think it's completely new, correct?
Yeah.
All
That's
3.
correct.
Is everybody?
Yes. Yeah.
That's correct.
So
Okay.
I think we should
So why
make a
don't I
valid
make a-
attempt to try again.
So why don't I submit a letter?
Well, if I recall, it wasn't the Rules Committee who asked that, it was the entire board.
It was the Rules Committee.
Rules?
No, it was the Rules Committee.
It's the Rules Committee.
For some reason, I thought it was
Briefly.
Okay.
a different
So-
supervisor.
So to Member Oka's question, 67.30 talks about appointees nominated by those organizations, doesn't talk about the number of, doesn't say one or more than one, it just says nominated by.
Well, it says the language is from names, shall be appointed from names submitted by.
Okay,
So
excuse me.
the Rules Committee, as it was constituted at that time, interpreted that to mean that they could ask for multiple nominations for each seat.
Right, so it's
Okay.
so it's open to, arguably it's open to some interpretation, arguably one way or the other.
But again, that's the first time they've ever done that.
That's the first time they have done that. That's correct.
Okay.
I was going to reference the fact that the Rules Committee has changed entirely. I think you as chair have the ability
I'll go back to them.
to send a new letter to the new Rules Committee, and the Rules Committee can schedule the thing at any time and can recommend appointment of the 4 members submitted by the 3 organizations.
Who's the chair of the Rules Committee again?
It's now, is it Supervisor Yee? I know
Foreman Yee?
it's Yee, Breed, and Cohen, and I forget who's.
I believe it's Yee, Breed, and Wiener.
No, it's not Supervisor Wiener.
It's not Supervisor Wiener. But I think
I'm looking it up right now. It is Yee, Breed, and Cohen.
Breed and Cohen.
Okay, this should not be a problem.
No.
I think we're going to be okay.
Well, now
We should just send a letter and just hope
I'll
for the
send a
best. Now,
letter.
when it gets to the board,
it's a whole
this
nother
is
story.
a whole different story. But
let's do that. So I will do that then.
we at least be one step closer by getting through the Rules
yeah,
Committee.
and haven't done that.
And Matthias Mormino, who had been with Supervisor Kim's office, is now with Supervisor Yee's office, and
Yeah.
he's probably the person that you want to talk to after sending the letter to see what you can finagle.
Or you can talk to Megan Hamilton and
right.
There you go.
Malia's Supervisor Cohen's office.
Okay, yeah, I can do it.
So just a point of clarification here. What is your status? I mean, I thought that we were kind of in this détente where you guys are just going to slide along with us until further notice, or?
My I will speak only for myself at the moment. I am here in a seat over which the Society of Professional Journalists has nominating authority. I told SPJ that I thought it was a good idea for me to terminate my tenure on the task force. I've been here for 10 years. It was time for me to step aside to allow in some fresh energy and fresh ideas. And that's still my feeling. However, I also made it known that unless and until my replacement was appointed, I would remain on the task force as a holdover. That also remains my position.
Great, thank you. Member Washburn?
And I've been on the task force now almost 5 years, and it was my personal intention to serve 6 years. And the League and I both believe that it was important to have some institutional memory on the task force, and so we thought it was important that I continue, since it's a steep learning curve, as you know, and I'd been here and done the work and thought I could be helpful. So the League was also very concerned with what the Rules Committee did. And, you know, it was clear that what the Board of Supervisors wanted was to completely replace the whole task force. And the League thought that was a bad idea because you lose institutional memory. And the basis for it, too, they thought was questionable. So I'm interested in serving, like I said, 6 years, possibly 8, but it's really hard to find somebody from the League to do this work. They know how much time it takes. I think I'm the third League member who's served. And the League is also very concerned about the way the Ethics Commission handles our referrals, and as a matter of fact is interested possibly in convening a forum for the public, having members from our task force and the Ethics Commission to talk about open government in our city. It's something that the League would like to pursue. They think there's some real issues here.
When we're done, I've got ethics.
Say something?
Well, just there is something in the current Bay Guardian regarding a so-called interested persons meeting that certain members of the Ethics Commission and its staff held was Wednesday of last week. And suffice it to say that the interested persons who attended were not favorably impressed with the way the meeting turned out.
Okay, I'm going to read that. That's a good article.
I will add that with regard to the appointments to the task force, some of you may not be aware that there was a political vendetta involved. If you're interested, I will email you the links to a trio of articles that I wrote about this for fogcityjournal.com. Suffice it to say, it takes to task 6 members of the Board of Supervisors.
Okay.
I am aware of that. Yeah, I think if anybody's not aware of that, I'm going to check your pulse to make sure you're alive.
Great. So what do you want to talk about the Ethics Commission?
So with regard to the Ethics Commission, let me just hand out, this was the 2-page summary of actions that they normally distribute from following their meetings. This summarizes the actions that they took a week ago, Monday, on the...
Never mind, carry on.
At their meeting on February 25th, they took up many or most of the referrals that we had sent there, or in this case, it was actually the prior task force. They did so pursuant to the new regulations that they adopted a couple of months before, some of which have a presumption that the task force is correct, and some of which don't, depending on whether the task force finds a willful violation and if it was against a department head. So they did not support all of the recommendations or findings of the task force, nor did they dismiss all of them. They held a long hearing on each. It was a 5.5-hour meeting in total. I was there for the whole thing. It was taped. It's available online, et cetera, et cetera. And so in summary, they found violations by Olive Gong, Caroline Celaya, and Howard Lazar with regard to certain referrals that we had sent over. This refers to their complaint numbers and does not include our complaint file numbers. I have those if anyone needs a cross-reference. And there is an error on page 2 on the last line that refers to issuing a letter to Rec and Park. It should say to the Arts Commission. I have copies of those 3 letters, essentially, reprimanding or whatever, and I believe a copy was sent to Ms. Asbury. Did we get a copy in the office by email? Did we get copies of the 3 letters from the Ethics Commission?
Sent them to me. Yes.
Okay, so we've got those. I'm not sure that now is the time, but sometime I think we should talk about the regulations that ethics adopted, how this first round of referrals was received, what that means for them and for us, and sort of a lot of issues. In particular, there were issues that came up with regards to Rec Park. The holdover members will recall the George Wooding complaint against Rec Park about the Commonwealth Club Forum. That was discussed at some length. Other members may not be aware. I don't want to go into all the details. But in any event, there were issues that came up about record retention, about private email, about deleting emails and records not in compliance with the record retention policy. It really raised a lot of issues that this task force, I think, needs to grapple with, along with ethics department heads, some things that I'm thinking about for EOT. This gets to a fairly complicated area, and I think that the commission took it seriously, and I was really actually impressed that they took seriously the referrals from this task force and heard further testimony and, dealt with things in an interesting way. And anyway, I'm happy to talk more or, call it at that. But there was that. And the referenced interested persons meeting on last Wednesday, I was also at. And so, yeah, I can talk about that too. I'll leave it at that unless there are questions.
Nope, I think that's it. If there's no more questions, then I would like to get a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. There are no more public comment. And without objection, I'd like to adjourn this March 6th meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Didn't bang your gavel. You can bang our name tag. You can bang our name tag.